Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 50-50 Take It or Leave It podcast. In this episode, we talk about what it means to live a creative life in college. And let me tell you what, it's rough.
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Creative ain't easy.
It's not, especially when you got school, work, plays, 9 to 5s.
Yeah.
We talk about that a little bit. We go into the wrap-up of our latest arc in DnD, Madness in the Mind. And, It's a long
so
one,
great.
but
I love it.
There's so much to dive into. All that and more coming up. The stonks are going up, ladies and gentlemen. No. Welcome to this episode of the 50-50 Take It or Leave It podcast. Now, we are going to talk about how to live a creative life. And that's actually a little bit hard for me because it's kind of a downer if I'm being real.
Really?
Do you not agree?
What do you mean by that?
Just like,
the balance of everything between schoolwork, college, actually having ideas that you want to, give
Pursue.
life to and
Right.
get your message across, whatever that is.
right, yeah. I think,
Feels like the world beats you down a little bit.
right, yeah. Especially in this, I mean, when you have a lot to do that relates to school. So, like, let's say you have a week that is just all classes, no free time. Then you got other stuff to do for the school.
And work.
And work on top of that. It's hard to actually get like projects that you personally want to do because you don't have enough time to do them. But at the same time, there are people who have all the time in the world to do it. Like they'll have classes that are like, oh yeah, I just have a class at 9, class at 10, then I'm done for the rest of the day.
Oh,
That
wish.
was me for a little bit. I had my mornings. I had morning classes every day, and then I had the afternoon off. And
Yeah.
I squandered that time.
And that's actually my situation right now, where it's like I'm at a point where I have 2 classes in the morning on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'm done.
Oh, I'm so
And then-
envious.
murder for that.
and then Thursdays, 9 o'clock to 10:15, and I'm done.
You have your
nothing else.
entire Tuesday off?
I have, and Tuesdays there's the night class,
Thursday.
Oh,
and then there's the morning. But Thursdays, whole day. Friday, whole day. Like it has a lot. And it's one of those things where it's, as you said, like people can squander that time.
you know
You,
how hard,
you don't know what you got until it is gone.
you know how hard it
Yeah.
is to do stuff when you're told you have to be in an office from 9:30 till 4:30, 5:30.
Yeah.
It's
Takes away everything.
you
that
literally
wanna
have
do.
no time to do anything.
Yeah.
It's like I get off work, I'm like, okay, I'm drained.
I'm exhausted.
yeah.
You
Oh, and then also I have homework and other fun projects that I need to work on. Great.
you wake up, go to work, come back, do some homework, go to sleep, wake up, and the cycle continues.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sucks. Like it's not fun.
Well, and that's
When
the
I
thing, like,
used to do it too, because
I feel like college kids, especially creative college students, get such a crappy rap for everything. They're looked down on in society. I feel.
I can
Yeah.
see that. Yeah, it's just
Well,
like
I mean,
it's a
you
thing.
get business. Well, like your business and your marketing majors, they're typically, from a societal standpoint, they're known as like they get to go out and party, which
Yeah,
their jobs are going to be, in my opinion, their jobs are going to be a lot more draining in life, if that makes sense. Where it's
Long term.
yeah,
Not as
it-
fulfilling.
yeah,
it's a lot of
Whereas-
office
I
hour.
can never work a 9 to 5. I don't think.
I don't want to.
Or like permanently.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm gonna have to when I move out and stuff.
yeah,
but
I just
I would
want to
love
be
to-
confined to a cubicle for the rest of my life.
I wouldn't mind being a teacher or professor, but that's not necessarily 9 to 5.
no, right.
You can do whatever. I mean, you're not even with the cubicle stuff. It's like I'm just sitting there on a
God,
computer,
it's-
going through paperwork, doing.
It's awful.
I told you about the time that I pulled staples, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never again.
it's
It
not.
wasn't bad, but I could not do that for a living.
Yeah, like there's been
so
times-
unfulfilling.
Yeah, like I worked.
It's
maintenance for-
monotonous.
Yeah. And the thing for me is like I worked maintenance for my grocery store for like 2 years, and I did it. It was a job. It sucked because some of the workers were just not doing the best job that they could, but there were some that did really well. And then I come back for my second year, and I ask for, hey, can I, work at a higher position instead of maintenance? Can I be inside? Can I stock? Can I do meats? Can I do dairy? Whatever. Said yes. Proceeded to do more maintenance for the entire rest of that time there. And then on my final day, I cleaned up vomit.
That's
What a way to end my tenure there, right? And it just made me realize, like, I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, I didn't want to do it at all. I wanted to work something else, but it was an honest job. But that time when I asked them for an opportunity to work in a different spot, they said sure, and I didn't get it. It's just like, it sucks.
That leads me to something else. I like where I work right now. I think it's awesome. The one thing they do, I gave them my schedule for rehearsal, and they still schedule me on days that I can't work. I only have 2 days open. That's Friday and Saturday. They have me scheduled on both, and I can either trade a day or try to drop it. And I'm trying to drop it right now because I literally can't trade it even if I wanted to. I don't have any other days to work.
Right.
And I'm just like, please, I gave you my schedule.
Yeah.
Right. I will say I've been pretty lucky when it comes to, like, I got a job when I was 16. I applied, I turned 16, and then I applied at the Culver's back in Yankton.
Ooh.
And, well, they were building it when I applied.
Oh.
So I had to wait a couple months, but I've been really fortunate. The GM that I worked with there was super awesome. Loved working with me. Worked around my schedule because I was busy doing theater and debate and all that stuff. And great guy to work with. And then I come to the Culver's here in Marshall, and same thing. Like, I gave him my schedule. There last year, I told him I could work 8 hours.
Okay.
I told the GM in Yankton that I was only working 8 hours here at the Culver's here, and he's like, I wouldn't hire you. I wouldn't keep you on. That's, like, not enough. Like, that's not enough hours to justify you being on the payroll. Like, I would just tell you that you either need to be more available or quit. And they had no problem with it. That was like, so I will close this day and this day, but on it was Monday, Wednesday, I would do the full close shift on Monday, and Wednesday I'd come in at like 8 and still close. And I think it was the fact that I was closing
that made you a bit, yeah.
That made it worth it, because I'm guessing they have a hard time getting people to know how to close. And I know how to close the entire restaurant.
Right.
So they can basically, like, plug me in anywhere they may need.
Yeah.
And their turnover rate's terrible out there, so.
Yeah.
But I've been very fortunate. I've never had to run an issue where I give someone my schedule and it's like, fuck your schedule.
Well, it's unfortunate because I feel like a lot of people probably can't work that day. And the part that I really don't understand is they keep scheduling me for 2 days in particular, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and
you can't work those days.
No.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know. But that was just leading me into the fact that I've got rehearsal, schoolwork, which goes classes and outside of classes, with the plethora of readings and writing assignments that I have to do all the time, on top of just regular homework, because every class thinks you have just, oodles of time where you can read over their amazingly interesting texts.
Yeah.
And then that leaves maybe I have an hour for lunch, and then I get back to my room, and most of that's taken up the time I have in my room with homework, with the readings.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have maybe an hour of profitable free time that I can make something out of.
Which you really can't.
Right.
Yeah.
That or actually that goes to DnD is what it goes to.
Well, I mean, people have to have a passion.
Yeah.
If you don't do something
but it doesn't fulfill my creative desire.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what do you guys do to fulfill? We worked on St. Nick, but that was a while ago now.
Yes.
It has been quite a while since we did that. Yeah.
A minute.
Yeah.
That was fun, though.
I was very fulfilled doing that. I felt.
I had
Were
a
you?
good time.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Well, from my standpoint, it was a little different because I was acting in a producer role. I mean, I was in the movie, but I had 2 lines. I was a part of
lines.
Actually,
2 funny lines.
You were
but
actually contractually obligated to say your lines.
Yeah, just say
Haha.
lines. That's
No,
a reference.
I took a bit of a back seat on that project because that's Nick's specialty.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I know film. I
Right.
don't know it as well as he does in creating the actual story and the filming and how to execute that. Because that wasn't his first like mini movie that he's done. He had his senior project, and I actually had a bigger role in that than I did in St. Nick, which I think from Nick's standpoint, he just wanted to make sure I was there moving things along. Because
Yeah.
when you get a group of friends together to create a film project,
Yep.
It can.
things can kind of drag sometimes because you
Yep.
just start talking and hanging out.
Right.
We experienced
We don't
that.
know anything about that making this podcast.
No, not at all.
No.
Nope. We've been on track every single
Every
time.
time.
Every time.
We didn't
So.
even talk about just working jobs, off topic when we're supposed to be talking about leading a creative life just now. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We bring it back around.
So, like,
It all comes full circle.
Saint Nick for me wasn't as fulfilling. It was nice to do and it was fun. I had a great time, but I think
Have you
Nick.
put anything out that's creative for you then? Like,
Oh,
or
yeah.
fulfilling?
Oh yeah, I actually just recently, Monday, or no, yesterday. Sorry, no, today's Tuesday.
Yep.
Today's
Yep.
Tuesday,
Today is
yeah.
Tuesday.
Spoiler: we record this on Tuesday,
Yep.
so y'all know.
You found out.
Oh God.
Secrets up. That's fine. No, to yesterday on Monday, my senior project still hadn't gotten posted. Like it was somewhat done. For the most part, it was done. There were just things. I had a couple spelling errors because I suck at spelling. So in my graphics, there were a few spelling errors, and there was some footage that I wanted to get from the sports network in Sioux Falls. So I finally got that. I fixed spelling errors, and the team or the kid that the documentary's about is actually, he was in the state tournament this past weekend and they placed third. So I thought,
it
well,
seems timely.
yeah, it was a pretty good time to post about it. They got third place. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I posted about it, and so it's been up for just over 24 hours, and it's already the second most watched video on the channel.
Nice.
Yeah.
It broke 200.
It's very nice. Which is it's
Yeah.
always good to see. You know.
And 200 views, like when you look at other companies that post out videos and they're like getting thousands and thousands and millions, like the amount of sharing I did and the rapid amount of views that I got is pretty phenomenal. Like I shared it last night at 7:30. It got to about like 40 views.
Yep.
And
Like
then
an hour. Just
yeah.
about, yeah.
And then the kid that the documentary is about, he's a high schooler. Of course he's big on social media, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He went and retweeted it. I woke up the next morning. It was like 100, 110, 115. I was
Over
like,
doubled.
yeah, I was like, where is this coming from?
He's got to
and,
reach.
and then I looked at the tweet, and he had retweeted it, and my tweet got 30 likes, and it got quote tweeted, and it was all. So seeing the success of that,
It's nice.
very fulfilling. Like
and the fact that you
so,
got it
so
in such
you're
a
results
rapid.
driven then.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's. I know,
Not a bad thing.
No,
Yeah.
when I'll talk to Matt and Kyle about like analytics on the channel and how the channel's doing and stuff. And Matt, you've told me you're like, I'd rather just not know about certain analytics. I'm like, that's fair.
Well,
So
for me, like when you hear about that kind of stuff, a lot of times you'll hear people talk about, especially YouTube, their analytics are always just bad.
Yeah.
Not that they're misrepresentative, but they're just like soul crushing.
yep,
It can deter you.
Right.
In a sense.
Right.
Because like you'd be like, oh, I would thought there would be more people watching this.
And
then
it sows in the mentality that, oh, the stuff I'm making isn't good.
like
and-
some of the content
Which
that
is
I make
not
is yeah.
Which,
not true.
Right.
Right.
But it elicits that response from people when they look at it and they're like, oh, people only look at like the first 30 seconds of our stuff. Like we have to change how we do this.
Right.
When
Yeah.
in reality, to me, if I like just post stuff, I'm like, I feel like this is good. I posted it because I think it's good.
Yeah,
If people aren't here yet, that just means they haven't found it yet. To me,
Yeah. And eventually we put out enough stuff, people will eventually
they'll
find it.
find it, go back through all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is completely that's a nice way to look at it.
Well, and it's not that way anymore with like a lot of people you see that live creative lives. They like move with the times and they always like switch the things they're doing.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays.
Yeah.
And
a little bit.
Adaptation.
They morph and adapt. Yeah,
Right. Which adaptation isn't bad, but they're constantly doing it. I don't feel like there's like a lot of identity with creatives now I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, you're pretty spot on. I mean, the term like and subscribe.
You're right. Yeah.
That's a big example of like YouTube creators used to not say that. They just were like, "This is it, watch it," you know,
and
enjoy.
There would be times like if you want to see more content like this, then you would like
And you would search that out. Like,
yeah.
You wouldn't. The creators wouldn't be pushing you in the direction.
Yeah.
And I mean, YouTube, in of itself as a company, suggests doing that because they'll be like, put other videos at the end of your video so that they can click and watch it.
Or they would.
Which
there's been,
it's a strategy.
Yeah, and has been YouTubers who do like the analytics of, I see that a percentage of my viewers are not subscribed, you know, and they show that and they're like, well,
because YouTube gives you that
because they do give you like who watches your videos that are subscribed and who watches it that aren't, and it pushes the channel
60% of you guys aren't subscribed. What the heck?
So yeah, it's like, so if you guys like what you see, like and subscribe, ring the bell.
Yeah.
You know?
Ring the bell.
And ring that bell so you can get notified of all the latest content that I put out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, dude. Okay.
I will say for Omni, on my personal YouTube, I do have the bell rung. So that way I just know content's actually posting up.
Right.
I don't, and I'm a part of it. I'm sorry.
I don't.
It's not your job to make sure all of the channel's content's getting out there.
I think one time I've seen it on my subscriptions, and I'm like, oh yeah, that did get uploaded. Nice.
Yep.
And I watch it, and I'm like, nice.
Yep.
That's good. That's good quality content.
Our Saint Nick video, top tier. That was a banger. I feel like we actually did real well with that.
I enjoyed it.
Super
I enjoyed
good.
making it. I enjoyed being a part of it.
I wish the filming of the park scene would have gone better.
Yeah.
That was such a good potential scene.
It was
I
just
know.
the wind.
Oh, and the fact that the behind the scenes, the kid gave me nothing with all of that. That would have just like bow on the present for how that scene went.
Yeah.
That would have been hilarious.
It would have been funny because it's just like the kid knows nothing about it, and you're like so adamant to get an answer from him. He's just like, I don't know.
Such a well done scene, and we could only use like 10% of it.
Yeah, it sucks.
We did a good job. Me and Nick, we struggled with that scene for a while. There were a few late nights.
Toiled
with it. Yes, I don't use that word a whole lot.
It's a good word.
It is.
I guess to me, when it comes to, and as you know, I talked about how with my schedule, there's more free time for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I have like work study where I work at the esports arena, and you know, I supervise the whole thing, and I'm looking around. And
supervise. I watched him watch a YouTube video today with this
sandwich,
closed captioning,
chicken wings.
That's a work study?
Yeah. You sit in there.
What are the hours on that?
Yeah, you really just talk to Spencer about it, and he will. And you say, how many hours do you want to work? And he'll like, we'll adjust accordingly.
You have to have work study. But
you have to obviously apply and be confirmed for it.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
That's the kicker. Yep.
There's no way I would be.
Trust
ain't that a...
I was going to say, how do you know? Just because. Fair enough.
Trust me, I've been put on the waiting list to get work study, and for 3 years, I never seem to get it.
I think, because I've applied for it, and it's just like, all right. And
my freshman year, I did have work study.
Right, like I had it for
But that's because the school wasn't paying oodles and oodles of money for my room and board, or my room and food.
Yeah, and then you became an RA.
Then I became an RA, and then they were like, oh, you get so much money for that? No more work study for you.
You do not need it because you have enough money already. And it's like, well, you can always have extra.
Matt can attest to the RA job. That's a flawed looking job.
It's just like, why not get a little extra? Isn't that what you want? Extra money? Like, it goes to tuition. It helps out when you need it.
I don't understand the school system regardless, but I've never understood a system where you have to go into debt to be able to be better off, in quotes, in the future. There should not, that's just stupid to me. Having to go into debt, opportunity cost my left cheek, bro. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. A smart business person wouldn't go into debt to have something better off in the future. Right? That's how you sink.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And of course, back in like, you know, before 2000, even maybe a little bit after, colleges weren't this expensive. They were, I mean, at the
I
time,
looked up a book that I had for one of my classes. It's $4 on Amazon and 80, count it, 80 in the store.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the bookstore.
Do never buy from the bookstore.
yeah,
Never. Find that on Amazon.
If you can find it for free, because there are books that you can find Spark Notes for a book, and that's essentially the whole thing. And they expect me to pay $200 for a book that I'll have for one semester.
Yeah, I've heard some kids like pay $400 for a single textbook, and they have like 3 other books that they need, like that one. I'm like, how much you paying for books? Most I've ever spent on books was my freshman year. First semester, I spent $125.
I've just come to realize that books
I'm
you don't
not
really
as
need to
fortunate
buy.
as you.
You don't really even need
It's
to buy
that
books
bio
anymore.
and
Oh yeah.
Bio gives a lot of textbooks. Political science. I have books. I have like 4 books every semester
yep.
for each class, probably.
Yeah.
Nope. No, thank you.
I guess the kind of
Communications, baby.
Yep.
God.
But yeah,
Half
no,
those books aren't even important, honestly.
No.
Yeah, but like to kind of go back to that, and that kind of ties in with that creative life too, because you mentioned it before, where all your time goes into reading them books and everything, that you don't have the time. You know, with any free time that I have, and I've been doing like casting for the esports teams and whatnot, because that is a passion that I want to get into. I mean, obviously, if you're not super up there in terms of like professional casting, because Valorant just had this big tournament, and they had like big names in it, and they get paid like a lot just to call the games.
right.
But it's a kind of a cutthroat job in a sense, because you're kind of fighting for that position to be the voice of that game or that tournament.
Right.
And most of the time, the market to get commentators are also extremely cutthroat too. It's like people would do it
Any sport.
People would do it for free, and that takes away from people who actually need the money to like do it. But people will be like, "No, I'll just do it for free." And so, of course, they're going to take the guy who is there for free rather than the guy who's like, "Yeah, I request like $2K for a job and $6K for a job."
Well, the way casting or calling works is like, the more times you do it, the better you're gonna be at it.
Right.
I listened to me calling a football game my freshman year because I was given the opportunity, because one of the football callers had to go away for the weekend, and it was a home game. Like, super rare that ever happens. And it was between me and another guy. We flipped a coin. I picked the right side of the coin.
Nice.
It was great. Awful job. Terrible. Never called a game in my life. I understand football really well. Never called a game in my life.
But being in the booth
It's
is
boom,
something
boom,
different.
boom, boom,
Oh,
boom.
so
Gotta be on it with
different.
the names, numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plays.
I listened to a game I then called with like Kyle my senior year. Oh, miles different.
And that's
so
funny.
much better.
It's funny to me too, because the game that you called senior year was like, I think, my first game that I called.
Yeah.
So hearing me call it, I'd be like, because it's my.
Yeah.
I mean, and granted, in especially in that free time too, I would, because I have like sports games and stuff, so like UFC and all that jazz, and I'd commentate over that because it's just a way to practice.
Yeah.
And that's, it's just practicing for me.
Something that people who are creative, like being a creative person, you have to do stuff that's outside your comfort zone.
Right.
And I don't mean to put yourself in harm's way, but like, don't do something that like you don't
Challenges
like.
you.
Challenges you. Like,
Yeah.
calling basketball was really hard for me because I don't understand the sport. I didn't know the sport that well, but I still did it because I knew doing basketball was going to make me an overall better commentator.
Yeah, if you put your hand
I found
in a lot
out
of
that I
sports,
was
you'll be
not
fine.
good at it, hated it, and I don't want to do it again.
But at
I
least-
tried it.
Exactly.
And the same thing goes for like calling in general. I wanted, coming into this program, coming to this school, I was like, I want to call games. I want to be a sports broadcaster.
Yeah.
I want to be in the booth on Saturday night, college football, the national championship. I want to call it. A month into the program, I realized that that's not what I want. I want behind the camera. I want in the
The booth per
control
se.
room,
Yeah.
not the booth, in the control room in a studio somewhere, running
replays.
the
and-
technical ops, or creating stories that are played on that game night. Like, I don't
Yeah.
actually want to be there calling the game on game night.
Yeah.
And that's something that you have to, like, as a creative person, you have to push yourself to find out what you do and do not want. I also learned that I don't want to be a newscaster for a local TV show or TV station.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated every second of it. And I did it because I was like, I have to do this for school, and I have to make sure that I don't like this.
Right.
And I didn't like it. But the job where I was sorting music and working in just an office space at a digital marketing company, I love that. If I could have worked more hours and gotten paid, I would have done it. I would have been there from 8 to 8.
Mm-hmm. And that's
but
the
I was
thing,
making
too.
no money after 12 after 12 hours a week. So
It sucks.
Ooh.
Unpaid internships. Yeah.
well, my
Yikes.
KSFY was unpaid too. So.
Right, yeah. And that's the thing, too. When I came into this college, I was going for journalism, to be on the newspaper and write stories, because that's what I did in high school.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then I did it for 2-ish years and left because I was like,
Well, you worked at Marshall Radio.
I
as well.
also worked at Marshall Radio for a while and realized I didn't like that either, because the two paths that I wanted to go down were either radio host or newspaper journalist. I did both of those. I did more for the technical side of radio.
You didn't
than
like
actually,
a radio host?
I wasn't. See, the thing was that I wasn't a radio host. I was the radio technician to do like the cutaways to ads and all that jazz. And
He's
I
the one pushing the buttons.
yeah, and I didn't.
See, that's a job I would have
Yeah.
loved.
And
I
I-
loved that job.
and I didn't like it. I did it first game, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I know it was like.
But you have to
but
do
you
those
have to-
things
yeah.
now.
Exactly.
Especially in college, like Kyle and I's professor always tells us use the student shield. That's a legit thing. Like, do the unpaid internships are awful. They really are. But it gives you the experience. It's a win-win for the fact that if the company hires you and you mess up, then they're not losing any money because you messed up. It's an unpaid intern. He messed up. It's an unpaid intern.
The intern, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
pretty much. But like,
Right.
there's a risk factor. They're taking you on in a
Right.
field that is heavily experience based. That's part of the reason why they're not paying you yet.
You're right.
If you do a good job, it's off like quality of work and how well you work in that environment. If you do a good job, then like yes, then we will pay you.
But if you're not feeling it, and you're also like putting in, not the work like especially as perfect as they want it to be, they'll just be like, all right then. But you are an intern, so it's like
It's a
Make sure
win-win.
the coffee's hot.
yeah, make sure the coffee's hot, and that's the
Yeah.
and that
And
was
that's a joke. It's also not a joke.
it's also not a joke. Yeah, it's
I did-
so
That's the
real.
sad part.
Yeah,
I did that a lot at the marketing
Yeah.
internship. I did
and
coffee.
Yeah.
I drank half the pot, but
I made the coffee. That's all that matters.
exactly.
And
I did a lot of moving of light stands and sandbags and pulling shit out of the truck and setting it up. I didn't get to touch any of the actual specs. I just was like, where do you
set
want
up-
this? Oh, right there. Okay. Now go get something else. Okay.
thanks. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was
Go sort the music library.
it was through those
Okay.
it was through that experience too with the radio and newspaper that pushed me to call games. Whereas, Mitch doesn't want to do it, and because he had to try it and he figured that wasn't for him. I was like the opposite. I love doing that. Because all I've ever done in my life, it even goes back to like before I came to college, all I did was, fake pretend to call sports and games that I
Right.
played.
Oh, I used to do that
yeah,
too.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is like it. And then I would always like to tell stories, and I'd always like to do all that jazz. And I come here, I do the one where I literally write stories, and I'm like, eh. And then I go to do radio technician, and I was listening to what he was doing, right? And I was like, this isn't for me. For some reason I just couldn't. And I know he's calling the games, but for
You
some
talking about
reason
Swami?
it wasn't him who was doing it.
Or was
That's
it
the thing.
A-Train?
I don't even remember the name. I'm not going.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
It was an old guy. I know that, and I was just like, I don't. And I there was times I messed up during that production. I don't know if he noticed, but I messed up bad. But he didn't
It's
notice.
fine.
But yeah,
It's fine.
And it was because
But,
of
like-
that pushed me to do casting, because I was like, I like being the one to call the games, not the one who's like behind in the booth, unless it's like TDing, because that's not. I like that too, but.
You look like you're about to say something, Matt.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
building off of the fact that you said you did that in like your free time and then you did stuff. Was it you or Brandon that was playing Sea of Thieves with me?
I believe that was Brandon.
Brandon, okay. Well, we're playing Sea of Thieves, and it's sunset, and I'm playing this song and just narrating our adventure. He's like, "Man, your voice could just put me to sleep, like doing this. Like you should do that, whatever."
Right.
And then I did a little bit of narration in Saint Nick, and then Nick also invited me to be the host for Popcorn Bucket List, which I would want to do. I'm glad I said no because I don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
But in An American House now as well. Spoiler, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this. I'm a narrator-ish character in that as well. I'm the
So
the signs are starting to show that maybe I should be like a voiceover kind of person or narration kind of guy.
And that's nice, but it doesn't fulfill me.
So what does?
It does pay well.
No, I bet it does.
Voice acting, voiceover work.
I've had to pay for VO, and it's like per word.
Ooh.
You tell
Maybe
them
it's more fulfilling than I thought it was.
No.
You tell them how much.
They send you in a script and you record it, and then you just say it differently however they want it said, and then you're done.
That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You get paid so
A person
much.
that knows VOs and how to actually tell a VO person how to do stuff, they'll be like, I want you emphasizing this word more, lay off on this word.
Yep.
And but that's because you get paid per word. The people will send you a script, and on your account or whatever website you're showing,
you're doing your stuff on.
You tell them how much you're charging per word. And
crazy.
Yeah, I forget.
You know what I do? I do $1 a word just to undermine anybody else.
Oh, jeez.
Get all the cash coming in. Then my name gets out there more.
Exactly.
And then you can start bumping up the cash a little bit. See?
Yeah. And it's just one of those things.
Capitalism.
That's right.
And I think to kind of go and kind of conclude, right? It's one of those things that we talked about before where, if you don't have the free time, it's going to be so much harder to get that creative life, right? But when you do have it, you have to make the most of it.
Right.
The internships that you've done, the casting, whenever I get opportunities, I have to take them. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of all it boils down to. Whenever an opportunity comes knocking, sometimes you just have to take it. Obviously, you can't take it all the time because there'll be times where it's I literally can't.
Do you find it fulfilling, though, living a creative life in college?
Hell yeah.
It has to. It has to. Because if you're living a mundane, day-to-day life where all you've done, even before you didn't have the free time to do it, where all you've done has been waking up, school, going to bed, work, even in those times, it's it just becomes like a rut and a routine. And it grooms you to become that 9-to-5 worker because that's the same thing. Wake up, work, sleep, wake up, work, sleep.
When I'm going through a music library looking for music that fits the documentary I'm making, and it takes me 3 hours, but I finally find the one track that's just the right amount of time that's going to fit in perfectly in my already cut timeline, that it's just going to line up magnificently, and it's exactly the type of notes in music that I want to push the emotion I'm pushing at that specific time in the documentary. Chills. Literal chills, and it makes it everything worth it, because I know when I put that video out there that it may not be everybody, but someone's going to say, "Oh, that was amazing. That scene was the music was perfect." And when someone actually takes time to say what you created and your intentions behind it, the best feeling in the world.
When they notice it. Or
when they notice and then take the time to actually say it. Because in film, your details are hardly ever talked about. Small details like music, choice.
But people will say when they're wrong.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
You have to brush those off.
Yeah.
You have to take the negative comments with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because they will point out every small, insignificant detail that you overlooked and be like, but you messed up there.
CinemaSins.
That's
literally.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, is
but
that
no one's ever going to credit you on the fact that you faded in your soundtrack from one song to another. And when people don't notice that, that's when you know you did a good job. That's in film and any this type of media work. When people don't say anything, that's almost better.
It's almost better than saying nothing. It's
astronomically good when they're like, that was good.
Yeah.
they're like, they specifically point that out, and they're like, that was good. It's like, yes, that
Affirmation!
Yes,
Affirmation!
Thank you.
Yeah, and the more we talk about that kind of stuff, because obviously I've been putting a lot of work in my movie too, right? Like,
It's something you're passionate about.
yeah,
Script writing is hard, isn't it?
script writing is hard as
I'm
hell.
holding up a middle finger to that right now. Like,
It's not-
it's something I hate doing.
It's not fun, but you have to, if you're passionate about it, you got to do it. And every time I look over like my effects that I've worked on, or the script writing and the lines that I have for that, and and I'm thinking about how to piece together everything, and I'm looking at fight choreography and everything, and I'm just like, this movie's gonna kick ass. I hope it kicks ass, because I put so much time in it, and I don't want it to blow up in my face.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where I have to kind of not be doubtful of myself, especially in any kind of, if you're trying to have a creative life, one of the worst things you can have about making creative life
Self-doubt.
is self-doubt, self-loathing, and just being
Self-doubt
like,
and regret
exactly.
by not doing it. Like,
The doubt
even
that
if
you-
put it out and it's bad,
Yeah.
like, you still did it, right? You're still
Right.
feeding that creativity
Yep.
in you. And then further down the line, you might have something that's just,
Right.
a rock star. But
Right.
continue.
And that's really it. It's just, if you doubt yourself that this thing's going to suck, and then you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't release it. Maybe I shouldn't release it.
That's how I was.
It's
That's how I sat on my documentary for a year and a half.
Right.
That shit was supposed to go out last spring.
Yeah.
And I sat on it for almost a whole year. And I think that weighed on my self that like flamed that self-doubt and that just like, why haven't you put that out? Well, it's not ready yet. Kind of is ready. Oh, I'm waiting on this. Well, I'll contact them then. But they haven't, excuse after excuse after excuse. And I finally just took the initiative to do it and finally get it out there. And it's finally, because I unlocked it, I was like, this is something I want to do. And I want to put it out there because I know it's good. And it pushed it. And I was worried that people weren't going to like it. They'd be like, this story's been told a million times. And I'm like, no, it hasn't. Not this one. Not this story.
Yeah. It's the perfectionist
So-
mindset where you have to, you're in your mind, it's good to people, but you're like, it's not.
That
It's like
reminds
artists,
me
you
of
know?
something that I heard. It's something about it's like a quote about God puts his best experiences behind a wall of terror or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah. So true.
Yep.
So true.
Sometimes the best things have to happen, but there are
Well, and
obstacles too.
if it's scary, but what you're putting out is good, then
Worth
it'll
it.
be so worth it. Yeah.
right.
And fulfilling too. That's the other thing. Because I bet after you got that out, it felt awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's that
So
sense
good to
of,
get it out there.
It's that sense of gratitude, affirmation of I've done it. Even after all the strife and doubt and all that jazz, I figured it out.
Yeah,
I got
this
my
is
shit
mine.
together.
I made it.
I made it.
Produced it.
And look
now
how
it's out there.
look at the amount of
Yeah.
stuff you got. on
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah. I had Levi sit down and watch it because he watched the first cut of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said it was really good and stuff. I had him sit down and watch it again. First thing he says, wow, this looks like a PBS documentary. Biggest compliment
Yeah,
he could have
yeah.
given me. Biggest. I don't think he meant it as a compliment
No,
either.
No, I think he took PBS documentary as something that you should look down upon. But having a documentary on PBS is pretty baller.
That's big.
That is big.
And
That's
then he's
Nova.
like, wow, every PBS documentary. I'm like,
Thank you.
yes,
Good.
I'm a part of
what I
this.
wanted.
So
Oh, so good.
in order to kind of get that creative life, it's just opportunities have to be taken at times. But you also have
You
to
got to go
find-
out and get it.
And sometimes
You
you
have
got
to
to
go-
make your own luck. That's exactly
make your own
right.
luck.
You
and
got to
if-
go out and make
And
it.
if opportunities come knocking, sometimes you just
Open
gotta
the
take 'em.
damn door.
No matter how risky, no matter how much doubt you have, sometimes you just gotta push that aside and be like, all right, then I'll
Well,
take
and
it.
find
Whatever.
time to look for the door as well.
Yes.
Bingo. So yeah,
Life
Yeah.
likes to make things difficult that are good.
And speaking of things that are difficult, after this break, we're going to talk about the session that we had for D&D this last time.
Oberyn had a fun time, bro.
Oh, yeah. It was just great.
Golly.
I thought this
We
was good.
will see you guys in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We got done with our break. It's D&D time. As always, I will take a back seat as Kyle and Mitch. What happened last time?
What happened last time?
There was a lot. First of all, I used new dice.
Nice.
Yes.
And they did fairly well, at least for most part. They did rather well.
To quote Laura Bailey, your glow-in-the-dark dice are in jail dice right now.
Yeah.
Dice jail.
They're in
Dice
dice
jail.
jail.
Jail dice.
Jail dice.
I mean, at times they did great, and they failed me more than I needed them to. So I got some new dice,
They're
heavier
dice jail.
dice. They have a little more weight to them. Rolled pretty.
They're really
decently.
cool looking too. It's like a scale,
Has
dragon,
a dragon
thing.
scale, so it glints like a nice sapphire blue.
It's so
That's
dope.
cool.
It looks black.
Sapphire blue, huh? Nice.
Yeah, it's black, but if you put it in
Nice.
different angles of the light, it like glints like.
It's
a
got
nice
a
sapphire.
pearlescence.
Exactly, and
The fact that you knew that is pretty impressive.
so to kind of pick up
Big
where we
brain.
for the people at home who haven't maybe heard in a while where we were, to kind of give a recap of maybe the last two sessions we met. We were in that little marine town. We got on the boat with Captain, Lord, Aster.
Captain. Just captain.
We've encountered, Lealfa had a terrible nightmare, dream, vision, apparition, premonition thing where she goes into a complete meltdown of her character, who's usually super composed and super she's just raving mad now. She's completely off the rails. She threatened to cut her arms and cut her ear off. Whatever she got hit with messed her up so bad mentally that she was a complete shell of what she used to be. It was
Absolutely.
bad, which was great.
Amazing.
RP.
No, I could not have asked for a better transition into what I was looking for.
Yeah, and
Just
she
the
was.
madness of what.
It's
She
also
did good.
It's also the irony of it. Whether or not she was an aspect or not, it was still the one character who was devoted to
Completely devout.
completely devout to her goddess, and she's the one who got hit. Now that it also kind of goes into her being a dancer and everything like that, which kind of comes into play with later. But it was just the irony of it that she's the most devout of all of us, and she gets hit with this crippling, mind-bending, mind-splitting deity that has now just taken over her completely. Not in a possession kind of way, but I have to get this out. I need this to. I'm in such I'm so compelled to figure out what it is, but it's not a healthy compel. It's a get it out, get it out, get it out. I'm in pain. I'm gonna scratch my eyes out. I'm gonna cut my ear off. I need this to stop.
Well, at one point, the first time it happened, Liz's character, Sylvana, was not in favor of really binding her up and tying her hands and feet together, where Edwin was very much in favor of that. The second time that Leafa got away, Sylvana was like,
Bind the hands, bind the feet, hog style.
yes, bind her up.
She was fully on
Yep.
board,
Yep.
which is also kind of funny.
Yeah.
But we
Very
do
good character development.
we do get on the island after a vote, and after Zion has a terrible vision for himself.
Well, because how does that come about? Just to help me jog my memory a little bit, Matt.
You took a moment to try to commune with the deep, I think.
Yeah.
You want to ask if what this was some kind of test from them.
Right.
You were trying to see if this was some kind of punishment, some kind of test from the deep to teach us something.
Right.
And they didn't answer, and instead
Something else picked up the phone.
and then showed you.
You put out your message into the ether, and something else answered. And it was not nice. It was not good, and you had a horrible vision. You want to describe that real quick?
Yeah, let me hear it.
So I was in my sword space.
Nope.
No, I wasn't? I thought you said I was.
Well, you were, I guess, at
You
first.
picture yourself in your sword space, and then you go back to the spot where you accepted your power.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Because that's like the mind when you're attempting to commune, right? You picture yourself
Right.
back in your sword space, and then when the message is received, that's what you see.
it's like a waiting room.
Right,
And then they're like, "We'll see you now." And
or
then
when you're meditating, it's the space you
Yeah.
see when you're meditating.
Correct.
number 4.
That makes
Come on
sense.
down. Number 4. They put a little ticket. You're like, "That's me."
But what happened?
So I'm in the area I'm in the space where I accepted the powers, and I'm chained up, hands and knees, or hands are chained to the
Arms
ground.
up. I thought it was up like this.
No, I thought it was on my
In the
knee.
vision, he's on his knees.
Oh,
like this.
oh my God.
Yeah, my arms are
jeez.
chained to the floor, and I'm on my knees, kind of I don't know how to
Like
describe
a
it.
sacrifice almost.
Almost,
Like you're-
yeah.
Yeah.
And
The other one's a different kind of sacrifice.
Yeah.
so, and I'm not
We'll get there later.
I'm not kneeling on just normal floor. Like, it's iced bodies of myself.
Iced?
I thought that you said
they're like
husks.
So
husks.
they're like grayed out,
sunken,
hollow.
like,
yeah.
Yeah, but I thought you said they were frozen, like with ice. I thought you said.
Nah, player. He was just saying that
What did you say was frozen then?
their faces probably.
Face is frozen in terror.
They were, yeah.
I thought you said frozen in ice, and I was like,
That's
wow,
so cool.
I thought that was really symbolic
Oh,
No,
no,
it would have been kind of cool
because of all
yeah.
all the
Right.
ice shit.
Yeah,
Right.
no, but they were
sorry,
frozen
not
in
that
fear.
Cool. I can't take that credit.
They were frozen in fear.
How was my mind just running with shit? Like, woo, look at that.
That's so much better. No.
God, I should need to
No, I like
probably
the
write
husks.
that down.
But yeah, I'm kneeling on top of, like, would you say 15?
It
I
was
said it looked
about
like a dozen.
Just
A dozen.
about, yeah.
A dozen
'Cause
of
you
my.
didn't get a good look. You weren't really looking there for long. You looked up.
Yeah. Dead bodies, kneeling on them, and
The only light in the area is the red, the
Yeah.
crimson that's bathing you, and you look up, and it's just those two eyes staring at you, giant.
Like
and then
Eye
the
of
vision
Sauron.
ends.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, and you we cut back to where we are, and you're like in pain almost, as if like when Frodo got closer to Mordor,
Right.
and he felt like the ring, and he felt like the eye watching him, and he's like, oh shit, Sam,
Yep.
carry me and stuff, that. It was essentially that. That's what I thought, like in my head. It's as if we were getting closer to whatever this was, and it was feeling our presence more, and it was burning it into us, especially
Well,
you,
'cause
because
there
you
were-
call out the most. So it was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just grab onto
Well,
that.
because there were only a few party members that whatever this thing was didn't really get a good hold on. Obviously, it got Leatfa.
It got me.
It got Oberyn really well.
It got
Brazil.
It got Zilavana, Brazil a little bit.
Sylvana, yeah.
Arthur and Edwin didn't feel it at
No.
all. They were, which was weird because they're gonna have to they were gonna be probably the most sane of all of us. But I mean, luckily we didn't.
There was a moment where it got into me because I tried telling the captain, making the captain tell me
which
what
we
the fuck's
we
going on.
never figured out either.
No, and I thought it was such a good moment to use it. I was like, this is like
It was perfect.
It was
imposing
opportune.
will. This is it.
Opportunity.
This is what I'm supposed to do.
It was also a perfect moment to show you what you were up against.
Yeah, it was.
And then it was
a nice.
poof,
Yeah.
gone. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be like a great thing that works every time.
It doesn't.
No,
If another.
false.
You remember? Well, we'll get there, but
Yeah.
remember what happens to Cerulean's thing when she gets you guys through.
Yeah.
When the eyes
closes.
come up over the edge, it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Oh man, if we don't make that time to get
if
into
we
the
didn't,
portal,
if she didn't push us through that portal and make us haul ass, we would have been stuck there. And that was him coming out. She was able to, which we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
to kind of pick
Yeah,
up,
sorry.
we all decided to get off the boat. We leave
Yep.
Lay on the ship, and we never come
Yep.
back to that damn ship.
And the funny part is you didn't even realize that you were actually doing everything in the journal.
Yeah.
Because then one by one, like our crew members were like left behind, and then we never saw them again. And you left Lay, and then you left later Shendra, and then you left the captain.
The three people who made it out last time.
Oops.
It's so ironic because they were the ones who left their crew to die. And they're
Yeah.
like, we're just going to forget this ever happened. And then we're brought back to the island. And then we leave them. We left Lay because we were like, someone needs to watch the ship.
Right,
We
right.
left Shendra because she didn't want to come with. And the captain was like, all right, then let's go. And then we left the captain because, well, there wasn't a lot of time for us to get everybody out.
Nope.
So we're heading into the woods, and Leof was kind of like crawling, but Zilvana picks her up,
Yep.
kind of gets her going,
Yep.
and I believe the captain trips over something on the ground, and immediately I'm like, all right, he fell over something. I'm just going to take a look here.
Well, you had us make an investigation roll, didn't you? Or was it
Just general
perception?
General perception, yeah, and I rolled pretty decently on that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I see a sheath with, and I really pull at it and I tug it off, and everyone like notices and they all stop. Some were kind of thinking about keep walking, but they were all like, nah, it was loud enough for everyone to be like, let's stop. Now imagine if I just pulled the sheath and everyone just kept running.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna be like, oh my God. So
Oh, that would be great though. Like,
Yeah, it would have been left.
It's only you that realizes that, and like the whole adventure, you guys are like, "Hey, no, guys, like, listen, like, there's this awful thing," but nobody's like listening to you because Lay's still running.
Yeah,
them.
nobody believes me that I saw. Yeah, so
Oh man.
How awesome would that be? Anyway, continue.
So I pull out the rusty blade, and I'm like kind of looking at it a little bit, and I kind of look to this like shrubbery bush area, and I start cutting through it, and there is a camp with one kind of big tent and a couple of like smaller ones, if I'm correct, right? Like
Yeah.
like a big tent, small tents around it.
6 chairs.
6 chairs, a fire that has been dead for a
Extinguished.
while.
Did we notice the skeletons right away, or is that not?
That's
in later
yeah. So
because it's in some of the destroyed tents.
That's right.
and so I decided like, okay, well, I'll try and investigate the camp, see what I can find, and I rolled like a fucking nat 20. And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't have asked for anything better at this particular moment to finally, for like a total of 28, because I have like a +8 to my fucking intelligence, to investigation. So it's through the goddamn roof. So I'm searching this camp. I find in the fire first, because I checked the fire first, as the DM quotes, it might not be paraphrasing a little bit, but usually things of importance are usually in fires. Mostly, even if it's bones or notes or whatever. So I find this piece of paper with the letters VAR lowercase. I did try to see if it was like on a corner or if it was at like near the middle of the paper to kind of just signify if it was like a signature or some kind of like thing like that. Couldn't get it. But yeah,
burned all around the edges.
So yeah,
it's the only little tiny scrap that survived.
I do keep that. With the nat 20 as well, we were able to search through other stuff as well. I found more just like, a lot of it was completely dilapidated. Like it's been there for so long, it starts to decompose. You can barely recognize a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I am able to procure a package or wrapped up letter. Yep. I open it up to see buried under a table.
Along with a couple of coins that are a couple hundred years old.
Yep, and that was also one of the bigger discoveries that I found. Like 2 copper pieces from like
500 years
500 years in the past. And I read the note, and I kind of look back and like think about it for a sec. I rolled kind of low on my sanity check, I think, too. For that.
Did you keep the coins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept all the clues that I found.
Of course you did.
I keep all the clues that I find.
I just want
I saw coins.
Say I don't remember specifically outright you throwing them away, which would entail like you keeping them.
This is something that was.
So I know.
What did the note say?
So the note said, "Do not lose sight of her," or something like that. Don't let her out of your sight. I believe.
Don't let her out of your sight.
Yeah, don't let her out of your sight. And I look at the handwriting, and like. I have like a usual suspects moment where I'm like looking back and I see like Zion writing in our first session like his name into our our login to like at the cabin,
right?
At the fucking cabin tavern, and
the inn,
yeah. And
he's writing his name in for the room in the inn.
Yep, and it is the exact same handwriting as in this note. At first,
next to the coins,
right next to the coins from 500 years ago. So those things were kind of like correlating with each other.
Maybe they correlate, maybe they don't.
And the thing was
that's the thing.
The coins weren't buried underneath the table, but the coins were kind of on top while the
Nope.
Oh, was it not?
Coins were on the ground.
Oh, coins were on the ground while the note was buried underneath the table.
The note was buried. The coins were on the ground. Not buried.
Yeah. Just to kind of clarify.
Yep.
And so, I keep this to myself relatively for a little bit because it's like, holy fuck. That's Zion's handwriting. And then that makes me think about something else. Oh, but of course, we go back just a little bit. Because after I find the coins and the note, me and the captain are kind of scrounging around in the tents. And we see 3 skeletons. 2 of them holding each other, kind of like clutching one another. The same way that Leafa and Zilavana were clutching each other. Because obviously, she tried to, we tied her hands up a little bit and we made her like grab onto, Zilavana like cloth as if to hold on so she doesn't like try to run. And they were kind of clutched in that same exact way with the skeletons. I tried to make a medicine check to see if maybe they were masculine or feminine.
Gender, yeah.
Right. rolled pretty bad. I can investigate.
Pretty sure it was a natural 1.
No, it was a 9. It wasn't that.
Oh,
bad.
it was a 9.
It was.
Okay.
I
thought it was so bad.
It was
a nat
not
1.
that. I can see their skeletons. All right, but like, yeah, I can
What's
investigate.
that white chocolate and stuff?
Yeah, I can investigate an entire camp ground up, but I can't tell whether or not a skeleton is feminine or masculine. I mean, that's how it be sometimes.
I bet it's actually harder than you think.
It's all about the pelvis, I suppose. Yeah. So I do that, but then Leof also makes a discovery of like the teeth on one of the skeletons, because she's like used to
she
drown,
asked,
but she
and
does
I
ask.
said yes,
Yeah. So
But she wasn't there to see that.
right. But it was out of character. But it also was like, okay, so in out of character as a player,
You can
those
form your own
were
ideas.
yeah. You can make your own ideas.
It was them.
Yeah. So after that, and also the captain was looking at them. Also the panther bones, or what looked like feline bones,
Yep.
were found next to them, and that like clicked something for me. So I'm going through everything that I've seen. 2, dead skeleton bodies, 6 chairs, a note with Zion's handwriting on it, and I rush back to that body to confirm my suspicions about that. And I look at the sword too.
Yeah, because you remember you pulled a hand out.
Yeah, I pulled the
A
hand out.
comes off.
Yep.
Right. And you brush that off, and then you go back for the rest of the body. The hand still has meat on it.
Yep.
The skeletons in the camp above ground don't have any meat
Which
on
means
them.
that these two, the times of deaths of both of these are not
Different.
Are different. So the person who's dead here is not part of this camp, possibly. So I run back over to the body.
Dig it up.
Yep. I
With
first
Arthur and
yeah.
Zion or Edwin?
I think
Edwin and the captain.
yeah. So and
all
I think
4 of
Arthur
them
was
are-
Arthur.
all 4
yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I at first brush like
Because
get the
Edwin,
rust off.
Zion's doing something else.
Yeah, I
Yep.
get the rust off of the sword, and
You don't get the rust up. You just unsheath
Yeah,
it.
I
and then
unsheath it, and I
unsheath
figure-
your own sword.
yeah, and I unsheath the rapier that Edwin gave me, and they are exactly the same,
Except for the rest.
except for the rust, obviously, of course. So
Chips are in the exact same spot.
chipped in
Dings
the
are-
exact same spot, so the same marking. So to confirm, like this is the same sword. So then I think, oh, fuck. So I try to start like scrounging for the trying to dig the body out with help from the others. We push it over, and at this point we're like, I don't care if we're gentle or not. I want to know,
Yeah.
So we push the body over, and it turns out to be me.
Well, it rips in half.
Yeah,
It rips in
when
half.
you're digging out, you like pull out the body
Yeah.
and it snaps at the spine.
Yeah.
So you pull out the top half of the body.
And we do pull out the top half of the body,
And?
and it is me, with sunken eyes. He's been dead for God knows how long. It's been a while because of the way it's been decomposing, but not enough for those other bodies. So obviously these might not be the same. But the first thing that I do is obviously I fucking jump back in like fear, like that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's me. I'm here. He's dead. I'm not.
And then you go rifling through his pockets like any good adventurer.
And so the first
Exactly.
thing I think of is that if this is me, then he probably has the same things that I probably would have, or at least key things. Obviously, there's going to be things that are different because his whole entire outfit was different. He had like a snazzy coat, like a captain's coat, and he just looked like a high-end pirate more than what I look like now, which is like some bounty hunting knight looking mix, right? So yeah, I know, right? So
I love the description.
yeah,
Yep.
it's close enough.
And you find it.
Yeah, and I find my book, or at least his version of my journal. It's kind of like the same like
Something
layout.
You find.
Oh, and then I find a compass as well.
Edwin finds the compass. but
Edwin finds the compass, and then I find the journal. Same kind of like layout as my journal, but then I open it up. It's in a language that I can't understand. To kind of describe it, it's like common, but not common. It's like written in an entirely different version of it that I can't read. I tried to put comprehend languages on it, and it doesn't work. Which is like, okay, I know it's a language, but it's not a language I can and with comprehend language, you can understand any written language and anything spoken in our on in the world. But this, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this one was so quote unquote foreign to me that it was like I couldn't understand it.
So comprehend languages is for languages that exist
In the world, yeah,
in the
yeah,
world.
exactly.
Right.
It's for languages that do exist.
Right.
And even my comprehend languages, which is essentially a Google Translate,
Right.
does not recognize this
Doesn't
language.
pick up the characters.
It doesn't understand like whether or not
You put the text in on the one side, and Google just was like
question
question
marks.
mark,
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
mark.
So it was, and
It
I
beep
tried my
booped at
best.
you.
Yeah, I tried my best to maybe get keywords, but in a language that doesn't exist, it's obviously super hard.
Nothing.
Right. The
It
only
doesn't
thing,
exist.
the
Yeah.
only thing that I could get, thank God, was the numbers and times of when they were written, because, and the DM also helped mention that too to the rest of the people that I do write every night
Yep.
after
after each
night.
Yep.
day of adventuring.
Yeah. So it was like knowing him, he probably does the same thing to give us a timeline of how long he's been here. And we've noticed that the changes from the longer, more refined like writing, or at least that I could understand, that just look based on the words.
That just looks nicer.
Yeah. Starts to like dwindle in quality and number of words and everything like a month after they got here.
There was a month span of time.
Yeah.
From when it was nice writing to when it got really bad and like
Yeah.
almost
Unfortunately-
desperate
For a month.
writing.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Scrawling.
I couldn't read what he was saying. It could have probably helped if I knew, but
I'm
there's really no
guessing
way
it
you can know.
was gonna help.
But there's nothing you can do with a
Nope.
language that doesn't exist. So, given the fact that I
That's
just,
exactly right.
given the
by
fact
way.
that I saw my own dead body for the, and he has died before, obviously, I mean, he's died twice, but this was more to him than that, because he died and came back. This Oberyn didn't. He made something happen to him. Not sure what, because I couldn't find any, like, there wasn't no discernible wounds, because, I mean, it's been decomposing for so long. I didn't know how he died, what happened to him. All I know is that he probably never met the deep, or something happened, or maybe got cut off. There was a discernible sign, though, with Edwin finding the compass, showing a picture of Cerulean. Younger, right?
Older than she is
She's
now.
older than she was now, but granted, Cerulean was a kid when we first met her. She's now like in her in a teenage look.
18.
So
17?
16.
yeah,
Six-
she's like
She looks 16.
she looks about 16. So of course she's gonna look older than what she was now. So it was like
You asked her about it too, and she said it took a while to get that just right.
Oh, I
To
did.
get that look just right. Yeah, because that's what she wanted.
Yep.
Okay, Cerulean.
that's kind of weird, but yeah,
I mean, I guess I get it though. Like wanting to be youthful and stuff forever.
Oh yeah.
could have chose 21. I feel like that would have probably done it, but whatever.
Jailbait.
Yeah, Joe Bade Cerulean. So
Jailbait Cerulean.
so we figured that out. I'm still
Locks
shook.
you up and then blows you up.
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
still shook by just the fact that I've seen my own dead body and
Yep.
that I've seen.
Pretty life changing.
It's life changing in a way of like, as I said before, where he's died before, so it's not like death is something that's like, oh, well, that
Foreign
sucks.
to him,
It's
but-
the fact that he saw this like another Oberyn, not just like here on this island, because that also fucks him up, but the fact that he died here fucks him up, because he's like, I could die here too.
Very
It's like existential crisis kind of.
yeah. Also a very liberal use of curse words, man. I just want to bring that back a little bit
Yeah.
for everybody. Sorry about that, guys, but also we're talking about D&D. So
It's a mind bender.
Yeah,
This
it
session-
was a pretty big mind bender.
Yeah.
So to kind of continue off
Yep,
of that as we
yep.
search.
Well, Mitch, do you want to pick it up for just
Yeah, I
a
was
little
gonna
bit?
Go
say.
for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Edwin or Oberyn. God, I messed up in session too, calling people.
It's all right.
They just don't say Oberon, because there's people who say Oberon, and I'm
It's
like,
Oberyn.
and like it's.
I don't ever say that, right?
I think it might be Leotfa, because she
Okay.
says Oberon.
It could be an accent thing.
It could also be an accent thing,
Yeah.
which is totally fair. I'm just like, every time I'm like,
It's Oberyn.
Oberyn.
But
Anyway.
what are you doing?
Anyway, yeah. So Oberyn's having this existential crisis, finding his own dead body from God knows how long ago. Zion's just, inspecting some trails, taking a look at the camp
Yeah.
because, he doesn't really trust Oberyn. So he's just like, I'm going to look this over again.
Damn, that hurts.
Yeah, well,
I've known you the longest, which would make me trust you the most.
the trust is getting there. It's getting there.
I don't know what could
But what'd
possibly.
you find?
Yeah,
I found 2 trails.
Okay.
you did.
And one was less traveled than the other. The one going to the left was left. Oh, the one going to the right,
Was
less traveled.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
and the one going on the left was more traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I didn't tell anyone because I'm like,
we're on the tracks.
And we found those, and we kept going because Leatfa progressed the story.
yeah. From that point, I hear
Oh my
after really getting into these trail searching,
Yeah.
it's kind of happening at the same time. Sylvana unties Leatfa. No. Sorry, she's not
she
tied
breaks. She's
She breaks out of the
grabbing.
hold.
Oh yeah, she hadn't been tied up. I think
No.
we hadn't tied her
Yes,
because
like,
she was
left
just
her.
grabbing onto that as if she's like trying to
Yeah.
fight.
Yep, and then she bolted, and that's
Because
when
the
Sylvana
call
asked
was
for
zoomed.
Arthur, and
Yep.
then
Yeah,
she
because the
was
thing,
zooming.
the entity was calling out stronger for her. It was like, find me. It didn't say find me, but essentially it was like, come get me. Blah,
you could
blah,
hear
blah.
the doof, doof.
Yeah, it was louder. And so she bolted. Sylvana was like, I can't catch her because,
Yep.
you know, as a
So
rogue.
she sent the panther out,
Yep.
and then long story short, you guys eventually get
Yeah, we eventually got her.
Yeah.
Leatfa under control.
Honestly, I mean,
It took a bit of time.
there
It
was. I think Eclipse
Not
and
bad.
Una are like the fastest next to her because I had 30 feet. I wasn't gonna reach.
Arthur
Arthur has 50.
Arthur has
50.
So he could maybe get.
He
to
moves
you.
the
He could catch her.
He could. He just.
He
He was like,
didn't.
I'm helping the guys with Oberyn's other body, and
That
Zion.
was dead body that is our party member,
Yeah,
but
which-
older, weirdly.
we don't know if it was. I mean, it's older in terms of when it happened, but I don't know
Well-
if it was like the same age as me or if it was like a.
And an important thing happened. Like,
yeah.
Sylvana called out to Arthur to, like, go help, and I noticed that she bolts, and I'm like, all right, time to go catch her. And I cast
Zephyr Strike.
Zephyr Strike,
Yeah.
which gives me an additional 30 feet of movement per round. Is it per? I think it's per round.
Yeah.
And which would
Gives
get
you a total of 90, right?
a total of 90. I could keep pace, or I could keep pace, and eventually maybe like throw a sword at her to like knock her down or something. I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna do.
You were
but-
gonna just stab her in the. I mean, it wasn't
But
as bad as
You attempted the spell.
Yeah.
and it did not work.
I mean, you felt it work, and then it just turned off. Essentially, so
Yeah, because Matt asked like what level spell that was. I was like, it's a level 1 spell, and he's like, well, that doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
and that's the thing too.
I'm like,
it's
why? The cantrips work, but my level
Yeah.
1 spells and up don't work with.
Well, because cantrips are kind of like free spells that you can continuously cast, so they're like your
Yeah.
easiest spells. But anything that requires a lot of,
Well, and you
usage,
found out
I
what
think.
happened to the magic, right? Later, I said what happened because somebody
Oh.
tried casting a spell in a
It gets
place.
it gets like sucked in, right? Like it gets,
Yeah.
So like the magic kind of fuels it. Well, at least level.
well, anyway, we're not there yet.
Anywho,
Yeah.
we keep going back to
So-
that.
No, it's
magic
all good.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yep, doesn't work.
You get Leatfa under control.
We get her controlled, tied her up.
Yeah, we hog tie her. Oh, there was something else that happens once we tie her up. So we have her in captivity, kind of like, okay, we got her hog
Oh,
tied.
I remember.
Yep. It's
I was
coming up.
like, what happened?
It's
And
coming up.
Yep.
So we're like figuring out what to do with her.
Because we don't want her
Because
bolting
we're like, we
again.
don't.
Right.
Well, we already hog tied her, so we're like, okay, so she's not going to be able to run. And then I remember Layoff because she was also getting into a tussle with Eclipse for a while. She was like, I'm at half health. So I'm like, okay, so she's like close to going down. Hopefully, we don't get into like other fights and whatnot. But Arthur has an idea
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
to be
right.
like,
Yeah.
look, to
She just needs to sleep.
she just if we just knock her out, she
It'll
won't feel compelled to run. And so he
His
goes like
mentality
an
on that.
anime
He's
character.
got a mean right.
Yeah, he goes like an anime character over to her, grabs her by like the head, and just pow,
Yeah.
right hook, right to the nose.
Yep.
And we're
It
thinking,
doesn't do it.
Nope.
And it doesn't do it.
and it doesn't do it.
Nope.
Hit her for like 6 or 7 damage.
Yep.
she
And I
had
think
7 hit points left.
I think her
Yep.
half was like 13. So
Her half
we
was
just
14.
we just see Arthur punch the shit out of Leopold,
Yeah.
and then she's just dazed,
and she's
sitting
just
there.
like, oh my, and I'm like, oh my god,
and then we decided not to knock her out.
yeah, and which was useful because she was our only guide. So
Yep. Well, we had other people that could hear it, like you and Sylvana.
Sylvana can only hear it faintly, and I can hear it like it wasn't like booming loud. It was just like I hear it, and I'm like, It was just like room inside voice kind of sounding.
So glad I didn't have that going on in my head.
Yeah, no,
I was proud of myself for that. I was like, yes.
So we make a consensus of, hey, how about we just
you other entity?
It's like, how about we just, pick her. Me and Zion will pick her up and we'll carry her, and we'll face so that way she's looking at the trail so we can like direct.
Yep.
Where everyone's going. And after a while,
we took some we first deliberated on what we should do.
Yeah.
That was a lot of the session was
deliberating about what we should do next.
Not so much the deliberating, but the handling of a situation that you do not understand.
Which was,
that was what I really wanted to drive home with this session.
Yeah.
Was you guys don't have literally any idea what's happening here.
Yeah.
And it's you trying to crisis control whatever's happening. It's crisis management.
It really was that.
Yeah, it was.
Because we almost knocked one of our compatriots unconscious.
Yeah, because we were in a situation where it's like, we don't know if she's going to run again. We don't know if
and we definitely didn't want to split the party.
And we did not want to split the party. And it was a lot of things that was like the case. So when the captain makes a point about what we should do next, and he says, maybe
everybody's making points.
Everyone's making points, yeah. And
the point we go with was taking short rests. And in Zion's head, that was like dumb to do. I'm like, it's a short rest. Like, I sleep, yeah, but I want to sleep. I'm tired.
Yeah, and the captain does make a good point about why we shouldn't,
Yeah.
Because he's like, he
was afraid.
Yeah, he was like, if we sleep, we lose time, right? And that's worse than just, and we do take a point of exhaustion, which does suck. But
and he was like, I'd rather be exhausted and
insane,
know what's happening. Insane, that's right. That's how I phrased it.
Then fully rested and unaware. And so he's like,
a strong point.
And it makes sense because like we slept on a boat that was coming to the island, and we lost days, weeks, or how long.
Yeah, and the whole boat was filled with those pictures.
Yeah. And so that means we were still awake,
and
we
doing
weren't
things.
Awake. Who knows?
And then you have no memory of it, and your food is gone, and your animals are emaciated.
Yeah. So which
means you weren't feeding them for some reason.
Yeah. So if we were all asleep on the island where it's coming from, we would have probably never woke up.
On the island that doesn't have a beach and is on statues of something, and it doesn't have a bottom next to it.
And it doesn't have wind or anything coming through.
Or bugs or
Nothing.
animals.
It's just...
It had a seagull.
And it was cold in the jungle.
Seagull. Yeah. So it's like...
It's a pretty weird island.
It's like we can't sleep or else we lose so much.
Right.
And it sucks that we had to do it. I was fully on board as soon as the captain said, let's take short rest and 30 minutes. I was like, yeah, no, that's smart because I've already witnessed this happened before when we all
were the
slept.
only ones. Well, no, me, Sylvana, and
Shendra
were the only ones that were like, we need a long rest.
Yeah, and Sylvana did ask, like, why are we even doing this to begin with? And it's like, well, we've been brought here. And every time we've been brought here, it's been bad. And, I've seen myself die. Obviously, they failed with whatever they had to do.
Let's right or wrong. Right was never wronged. Or wrong was never righted.
We almost got, anyway. So we decided to go with that, rest, go, short rest every now and again. And we do eventually make it back. We make it to where we have to be. Of course, we take a point of exhaustion because we've just been wake up, rest,
Metro
wake up, rest.
Boomin'.
And, we've also seemed to have traumatized the captain, too, in some of our talks as everyone rested, especially Alpha. Yeah, she was just like, oh, my God. I didn't help either with the fact that when he asked me, like, how can you just react to yourself dying? It's like... Yeah.
Oh, and then you guys dropped the bomb of, like, everything that you've seen and stuff. And he's, poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor Jean-Paul, if you guys remember. That's what he said his name was
Jean-Paul.
When he was trying to remember who he was.
Yeah. Which means it's like the realities were, like, morphing together for him. Because he said his name was this, but then his name is not that, it's this. And who knows? My name could have...
Nobody asked him.
My name could have been also not Oberon with that dead body. I could have been someone completely different that wasn't named Oberon. It's one of those things, right?
But you guys What were we gonna say?
We make it back to where we were. Not where we were, but we make it to where we have to be, or what we think we have to be at with Leatfa, because she's been guiding us this whole time.
Right.
And we get to like this, this like, what was it? How did you
It's
mention?
a
Like an
foot
opening.
thick, sheer-sided mountain where the mountaintops were still like the peaks and valleys were still there, but when it came to the actual structure, it was cut.
Right.
It was a foot wide total.
Yeah.
When you like walk around it.
Yeah.
But think Last Crusade.
Yeah.
It's the like temple structure that's like carved into a mountainside.
Yeah. And it goes in deep.
Right.
Much deeper than a foot.
Yeah, but on the other side, there's
It's
nothing
just sheer.
there.
Like it's cut by a laser.
It's like an optical illusion kind
Right.
of thing. So, me and Zion search around for anything kind of like, for me, I'm searching for just remnants of past selves or other things. Leafa has like a vision of
What
like
was I looking
15
for?
other.
Yeah, she like watches as like whoops. Unprofessional. As 15 like one at a time herself like go through this doorway.
Yeah. So and she's like muttering like, I've done this before, kind of thing.
And I had the music swell with the final I've done this before, and it was
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
And we decide to go in. Obviously, Chandra's like, I can't go in, and the captain, unshaken, unfazed by this, by Chandra's deciding to, stay. He's just like, all right, then.
He's like, yeah, leave her.
Yeah. He was just like, let's go then. And we kind of follow suit. We don't try to ask her to come with. I mean, I think we kind of do, but we don't. Where it's
Edwin
like
attempts to.
Edwin attempts to, but she's just like, I can't. And so we just decide, like, okay.
Some people crack under pressure.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame her in a situation like this. It's like, what am I going to call her? Like, you're a coward? Like, we're on an island where we don't know what is going on. We've seen past selves of at least me, like, died. I let people know about that. I also show Zion the notes that I found, too. And, the question kind of pops into my head, like, oh, my God, how many times have we been on this island?
Well, and the question you guys tossed around for a little bit before not really talking about it anymore was who is the she in the note?
Yeah.
But you never find out.
It could have been any. We never really delved deeper
decision,
into.
I guess.
Yeah, and I guess the she could have been,
could be anybody.
Could have been Leafa, could have been Silvana, could have been Chandra, it could have been some other person that we just never met. It could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody.
It was somebody that Zion knew. That's all we had.
I think I assumed it was, when I saw the note, I assumed it was Leafa.
Okay.
Because she would probably be the one who gets targeted by this thing the most, because there wouldn't be anyone else that we would know who would be hit with this. But
oh, you find out who else gets hit by it.
But yeah,
but
I'm sure he would have.
Well, you do.
Oh, right, yeah,
all of us.
Well, and you make it to you start to go in.
Yeah, so we start to go in. We start because the torch has been lit in here for us. From Edwin.
Edwin lights a torch.
And I start to look at the walls a little bit to kind of gain, like, maybe there's hieroglyph. I mean, it's a temple, right? Temples have, scriptures, art, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to look at that, see what I can find. I rolled decently and found, like, what was essentially, like, I would say, like, kind of like an event timeline, I would say, where you had people who were healthy. And then it was like step by step, kind of like how it would look like on the evolutionary chain.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, except this was not evolution. It was walking essentially to your death, right?
Yep.
So you'd walk and you'd start to get like weaker and weaker with every step. You'd crumble to your knees, then you turn into dust, and you would die.
Dust would
and
go
you would be
into
sucked into like this weird double helix thing, and then you'd.
What?
I mean, it was like swirling up, kind of like.
Oh yeah,
like
a
swirled
helix. Up and made a circle.
Yeah,
not a double helix.
See, I thought it was like a helix formation that then formed into a circle at the end.
It's like
yeah.
Into a circle.
And it can mean like infinite. It can mean like a lot of things. I mean, obviously, we've been here multiple times, and we saw. I mean, at least with Leafa, she saw herself going here multiple times.
Yep.
So it's not like it could really be anything. It's like the cycle repeats. Like they go in, they die, then the next ones come in, and then they die, and then it's just cycle, right?
Who knows?
Possibly. So I see that, and I get, and I
Yeah,
I start to figure out what is happening here. Because I'm like, I see that. I think I saw also the temple too, right? Like on that scripture, if I remember, like they were like walking to that temple in the scripture on the wall, or am I just
no?
Okay. So
it's okay. There was a lot of information. To
There
take
was
in
a
this
lot.
session.
I mean, at least in this case, I was like, oh my God, we're walking into a sacrifice. So we get to this semi-translucent layer
Like
of
barrier,
wall. Yeah, barrier there. I start looking for Arcana, which was not a good idea because I start doing what I did on the ship where I'm like rubbing my hands on it.
Oh yeah.
And luckily this time, Arthur just full Nelson, like
Yeah.
arms underneath and just, let's go, bud. Like nope.
Yeah, and then Leafa
Not
just
a-
goes in.
And Leafa
Yeah.
goes in. And we
Oh,
all...
her balls. Talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
the dancing lights.
She casts dancing light as Edwin's lighting the torch because she notices that it's dark and we can't really see.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we're heading down there, is that when?
When she casts it.
She casts dancing
Yeah,
lights.
and then Sylvana tries talking to her about like her
That's not what I was talking about.
Nah, he was talking about when he cast the dancing lights.
Oh, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like 4 dancing lights instead of the moonlight like color that she would
It's
have.
crimson.
It's
red.
crimson red, and there's also like globules of liquid kind of.
Yeah, and they turn into like the ether from Thor.
Yeah,
Right.
The
Ragnarok.
Dark World. Yeah.
and
Dark World,
they kind of like become like liquidy,
like,
and
yeah.
they make their form. And then as we enter the barrier, the dancing lights just become that ether looking thing where it's like, oh boy. And then and you said before like they were talking a little bit about and she notices
and
the
then-
eyes.
Oh, is
thing,
that when
too.
it is?
Yep.
So
Yeah, because
Yes.
at that point, that's when Sarah was like, as I'm sure, like playing into her character was like, wait a minute.
yeah, so
But before then, you guys get in there, and then you like
Mhm.
look up, and it's just like her dream with the people like coming
Yeah.
down.
yeah.
Yep.
And at this moment, we're like, I mean, at least for me, I start to think because she explained the entirety of the dream to me, like because she told me about it when everyone else was
Yep.
asleep, so I know firsthand what's going on, and the symbols on the wall is just like everything starting to click, and I'm like, oh no. So we see the people, we see this underwater city that we're kind of in that's covered up in like the green of the oceans of algae
Yeah,
and all that.
algae and
all that.
moss
And we start kind of becoming almost consumed by the massive people because there's so many. They're kind of just pushing us forward, and one of the big things that kind of happens in this arc for Leafa is that at least at the end here, Sylvana speaking in, I think she was speaking in
Undercommon.
she mentions her goddess, which is like that makes a lot of sense. Could have been done earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should have done that way
We
sooner.
probably could have just said that earlier, and all of this would have probably been undone. But it just kind of comes out spur in the moment.
there was such a great moment where Sarah was like, and then I just went, boom. But we'll get to that in a second.
So
I don't usually take perverse pleasure and stuff like that, but that time it was just so perfect.
So
Yep.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
The shoulda, woulda, coulda.
No.
You not talking about that one?
We'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. She mentions to Leafa about her goddess, and
Yep,
she
and
starts
that's
to
when you
have
guys get to the pyramid.
Yeah, and
which
she's-
is hexagonal now instead of
for
four-sided pyramid.
for 6 people, whereas the pyramid was more for I think 3. I think because there was. I remember in her dream she mentioned there. I mean, at least you mentioned there was like 3 people chained up. Now it's hexagonal, which is for 6 people, and there are 6 people in our party. So that's cool. We get into the top of this precipice, and Edwin.
We don't.
Well, I mean,
We get-
Everybody
we do.
gets to the
We're
top.
up at the top.
Oh, I thought only Leafa got to the
Leafa's
top.
like,
Leafa's the only one who gets to the T.
yeah, she's getting like.
But you guys, there's like there's a chunk before it drops down where you get
Yeah.
up to the staircase, then you just walk forward before.
you fall.
going
Oh,
in.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and she was getting to that point.
So
we
you
were
all
falling
get
a
to
little
like the
behind.
precipice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Edwin and Leafa, Edwin,
not
Leafa,
to
and Sylvana are like talking, trying to get her to like search for her
Snap out of it.
symbol and
basically,
everything.
hopefully, yeah.
And we get up there and we look down. I see just a
Wait, you look.
Yeah.
You reach the top and you look over the top, and what do
Yeah.
you see at the top?
oh yeah. So
All of us.
we see all of us chained on piles of ourselves, getting our blood sucked out
Drained.
of our body. I now kind of, gripping to the reality of.
We're also on top of
Yeah.
bodies of ourselves.
It's not even. It's that, and it's also the fact of
Well,
Not only did I
so
see
there's-
myself die on the island before, but
now you see this too.
yeah.
So there's 5 other T's other than the one right in front of you guys, which is currently empty.
Yep.
There's chains coming down from the top of each of them, and each of you guys chained up to one of those somewhere in this 6-sided pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
On top of your own corpses, husks of yourselves,
Yep.
Yeah.
with your blood being drained out if you go on into the center pit
Yeah.
of whatever's down there.
Yeah.
And Leafa almost puts her arms in the chains.
Yeah, her symbol begins to glow, and she's like, and Matt says, make a final wisdom check.
Make a sanity check,
Yeah,
or sanity saving throw. I think I said, which is just a wisdom saving throw.
Right, and this was gonna
And
be
she makes
big,
yeah,
right? Like
she rolls, yeah.
Yeah,
This is huge. This
yeah.
is really, really important.
And
roll.
she does, and she had, I think,
A 19.
a 19, but I think she also had the bardic
She did,
inspiration,
and she didn't use it.
and she did
And
not.
you have to call it.
Yeah, and so she called the 19, which does save her, right? She gets it.
It does not save her.
No. I mean, it saves her in the fact that she didn't just die.
She didn't meet the DC.
Well, right.
Right. She met. She met a DC.
There are tiers.
Yeah. Yep.
So if it's this DC, this happens. If it's this DC, then this happens. And if it's this DC, this happens.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it was like 15
Gotcha.
was like you're good, 20 is you're definitely good, and anything below that would like 10 would be.
So
Like,
here,
yeah.
do you want to know what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start from the top and then go down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So 30 would have been you don't even like go up to the altar. 25, you are about to go up to the altar, nothing bad happens. 20, you get to the altar, but nothing bad happens. 15,
Oh.
you get up to the altar and you start to be drained.
Yeah.
But she was right under 20, so I didn't have that
So
happen.
you kind of gave her like a.
10. You get up to the altar and you lose half your total hit points.
So she would have been
Jeez.
down. She would have definitely been down.
5 or lower. You go up to the top. I would give you one more saving roll with disadvantage. Try on the scale again.
Yeah.
And no matter what, you're losing half your hit points.
Yeah.
And if you like go under or if you don't make the save, all of them are gone and you're
Dead.
you're in the ritual now.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
No takesies, backsies.
yeah, and she does not.
How do you break a ritual like that?
You don't,
You just don't?
unless you kill the thing it's doing the ritual to.
Oh.
That's up for you. I make problems, not solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no other really
Okay.
real way to do it.
Okay.
But yeah, she
Huh.
barely. She doesn't.
Ooh.
She
Ooh,
doesn't.
That's scary.
If she just rolled that.
Yeah, because
because
you put your hands in and they clamp down.
and then you're stuck.
Right.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do because then you're getting. And so, she gets to 19.
Yep, she's just about to put her hands in before she realizes, like, what the heck am I doing? And one of the husks of herself tries to, like, claw her.
Yeah,
And then
I think-
gets
didn't you say like it was like a nail?
a
Yeah,
nail,
like it's-
one of her own nails. Like,
yeah, and cuts it
Cuts
open,
her.
cuts her skin.
which
and just a single drop.
yeah, that's all it needs. Yep.
But what did you guys see down there?
So
I saw shit.
Yeah.
I saw
I rolled a natural one.
I saw massive tentacles.
Nope.
I saw like silhouettes of tentacles. That's what
Yeah.
you said for me. And
Yeah.
then it was, and then
What did Leapa see? 'Cause she
Leapa
got to see it
saw
all.
the full like a maw, the eyes.
6 broken chains. No, 5 broken chains. No, it was 6
No,
broken
she was,
chains.
it was talking about the creature underneath.
Oh,
the
oh.
tentacles.
Well,
the maw.
there were
I-
chains. I don't think I specified how many there were, did I? Because I said it was
You said there was-
chains,
there
it
was-
was runes, it was
Yeah,
like
you did-
everything that could be
I thought
cobbled together to hold this thing down.
one.
One chain that
It
was still
had
intact.
it had one
I
chain
thought you
that
said
was
that there
intact.
were 6 or 5 chains, and one
You might have
was
mentioned that there was
Maybe
six.
I did.
Yeah, you said this was thing was
Either
held by
way.
6 chains.
or I just made that up in my head.
You might.
It still is probably how many there would have been total, but
Yeah.
the point was you saw like pieces of them like in there, and one chain that was damaged but still holding.
Yep. And that one drop of blood.
Yeah, and you guys heard ting.
Yep. And it was free. And then
You got to cut.
gets his arms like up and begins to like peek out Attack on Titan style, and we cut to Cerulean.
And what's she doing?
Cutaway scene.
yeah, so
yeah.
Cerulean
Meanwhile.
is somewhere. We don't exactly specify
ball.
where. At a ball seems
Yeah.
like a lavish party.
You know it's by the ocean.
By the ocean, yeah. You did mention there was a beach and it was a Southside Manor looking place.
Yeah.
And
A Southern style manor.
you kind of see her doing some stuff.
Heavy arcanists, or like not heavy arcanists, but very
archmages.
Archmages, yes.
Yeah.
It's like some sort of meeting with archmages.
Yeah, and she goes in, disables all the protections, kills everybody in there.
What else does she do? She disables personal protections and charms on people.
Yep.
On the outside of the building.
Oh, what does she do on the outside?
She put like a lock, basically.
Yeah,
she put like a magical lock to make sure that
and then,
no matter what you cast, you're not getting out.
And then guards with like the same blue eyes begin to like close the doors as if this was like a planned thing almost. Like it was just a big...
Well, you guys have seen people with blue eyes come up and talk to you before.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you remember what that was?
I remember for me, it was when my like patron would take the form of somebody else.
Not your patron.
Yeah, it wasn't like... That's the ones that I remember. It's just when my patron would come out and be like, "I'm talking you through a kid."
It's not your patron.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's the deep.
It was not the deep. The deep is a
right. It was the one that is many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it took control of people, and it took control of these guards to like aid her. It seemed like. So at that moment, she kills all those archmages, Raiders of the Lost Ark style. Their light coming out of their face.
Yep, the blue like
and
they're just their eyes and mouth.
Yeah, they're just getting murdered, and then everyone else like in the town illuminates with blue because it's happening to them too.
The way I described it was she like goes up to the balcony of this like manor and looks out over the town, and you see like blue lights coming out of the windows of like houses all over the town.
Yeah,
Jesus,
mass extinction. She completely just wipes an entire town by way of Raiders style, and then with this newfound power, thanks to killing all these people, she's able to successfully open a portal.
Well, what does she do first to know where to go?
She hears the screams, looks toward where the screams are coming from, and then kind of like slits a hole and like opens a portal and grabs us.
Yeah, one by one.
One
like
by one.
And
she says finally, and it gives me like two separate meanings to me. So when she says like finally, it could be finally as in I finally had enough to find you, and I did, thank God. Or it's a finally as in, oh, you released this thing, good on you. But that doesn't make any sense to me.
Hey.
People.
No, it does make sense though, because
it does not.
She's the aspect of chaos,
but this thing,
A word
aspect
annihilation.
But it doesn't make sense why you would be happy that something else is killing
Maybe
people.
she sent us there knowing that we weren't going to get the basilisk.
But did you know she sent us there?
Yeah, she did. She gave us the mention.
That's not the island with the basilisks, though. We decided to get on a boat with this captain to take us to the basilisk.
Fair.
Then we slept and we went to a different island where this stuff happened.
Yep. Maybe the island of basilisks don't even exist.
Maybe. But it just doesn't make sense that she would... Because this thing is against us. It's against the deep. It's turning all of our... If it wanted to help, it wouldn't be doing all this stuff to us. Why would Cerulean be happy that this thing released it, especially since it looked at our portal and closed it?
Maybe Cerulean's to the point in her, like, annihilation that she wants to take on the deep.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
She wants to take on the deep?
Yeah. Like, annihilate the deep.
Like her own, like...
Okay. Yeah.
She's, like, planning a coup against the deep? But if they're the ones who gave her powers, if they die, will she still have her powers? If they die, will she die?
She becomes them, or she becomes the deep.
Maybe.
The one that is many.
I just don't think
she becomes that.
I don't think having...
As annihilation, I feel like that's what your ultimate goal is.
Maybe, but it just seems like it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to be happy.
Okay,
that the
duck face Matt over here is like...
It just doesn't make sense
Who
that...
knows?
Who knows? You know.
It just doesn't make sense that this thing that comes out that's been cutting off all of our powers... And you're happy that it is.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
I think it's the first one. Like, finally, I found you.
Yeah.
Because she can probably see where our movements.
Or at least she figured that we were cut off.
Remember, you couldn't get any messages out. People who were devout to gods didn't feel their like deity's presence with them when you guys are on the island.
We were in a space where nothing could come for us. She had to obtain more power from more powerful people
from
archmages, powerful archmages.
They are the tip top of the arcana. in the world.
And she just killed them in
a
order.
A whole bunch of them all gathered in one
Yeah.
place at one time that she just took complete advantage of.
Yep. So she killed all of the most powerful people, essentially. And
Archmages are the most powerful spellcaster.
Well,
And
because
just
Cerulean
to
is an
open
archmage, correct?
She is.
And she might be the only one left. Now she's killed everybody else. But at the same time, she needed that power to find us because she wasn't strong enough before. But by killing the archmages, she was able to find us. And that's when she said, finally.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because I don't want y'all to die by this thing because then I can't get more power from you guys. And
and
it
imagine
kind of sucks.
somebody who made sure you guys got your powers.
Yeah.
Who made sure, like, okay, he has to get here by this time, so make sure this happens. Suddenly looks for you guys and
nowhere.
Yeah.
Can't find you.
Yeah. And so she finally finds us.
What about
pulls
their
us out.
sword spaces?
Yeah. Not there. Like, we would have been dead. It would have been donezo.
What the fuck?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
This doesn't
One
happen.
who is many. What's going on? We don't know.
We have no idea. Can't find them. Their comms are
I'm
off.
sorry?
Yeah. And so she's like, okay, well, then I have to find them myself. And so she does, thankfully. Pulls us out one by one out of the portal, leaves the captain and Lei and Shendra, because obviously they weren't there. And then we go to the balcony where she's on.
And, like, as soon as... We were talking about this a little bit before.
Yeah.
As soon as this entity climbs out...
Or the eyes clear the edge.
Yeah. The portal closes.
Yeah. So
So
and
it
that
was like...
also just helps, like, with
Cerulean
my theory
had
too,
enough power to get there, but, like, face toe-to-toe with
it still wasn't
this
enough.
entity,
It still wasn't enough.
killed it.
And that's the thing, too, is like, why would she be happy about that?
Yeah, no, I know. I was playing devil's advocate.
I mean, you weren't the only one, though. There were other people who felt that same way.
Thought that.
And I was like, that's...
And you don't know if it's right or wrong yet.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's just me thinking, like, no, that does not...
It can't be. That's impossible.
That's impossible. Yeah, it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why would you be happy about the one thing that is able to cut off your powers and possibly kill you for good? It's like, there's no reason to be happy about that. And so we get pulled out, and we're here. And that's the end of that arc. We do level up.
In the mind.
We do level up, which is great. Leafa meets us at level 6.
Had some psychological trauma.
She's just had, and now she's learned from it. She will.
Psych trauma.
Honestly, Leafa will probably be the most scarred out of everyone. I mean, literally and figuratively. I mean,
I think Sarah's gonna really play into that too.
Yes, and that was one thing we talked about it a little bit before the podcast started. But that's why I had you guys make those like sanity checks when you got up to the tip top, because it's not so much that you guys didn't play into it as much, but it was hard for me to see that you guys were like,
and
affected by what you were seeing at the top, because that's traumatic stuff.
It's supposed to be something we can't comprehend.
Right.
Why are there people
seeing yourselves tortured over the dead bodies of you?
Yeah. And I mean, I was scared. I rolled in that one, but yeah, I
didn't play into mine as much as I should have.
I had to.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Fine. I mean,
you did think about for next time.
You did roll very well too. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, you were like, yeah, this is a lot.
Well, I just remember saying like, I've seen my dad.
Yeah.
Do
right, but even
when your dad rolls up his sleeves and gets to work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think this is going to be an experience, especially for Leafa, who's not only been scarred by
things
this.
to ruminate on for next session.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not only has she suffered possible abuse from Cerulean when she got interrogated and examined and all that jazz about her family and everything. That was probably traumatic to her too, because she was dazed and confused and all that when we found her. Now she has to deal with the fact that I almost lost not only my life, but my devotion to a god.
She picked the wrong adventuring party.
She was also, if you think about it, she's the
I
most...
love Dan at the end. He was like, can we get a happy arc?
Yeah.
Like, can we have like a not deep, dark, and depressing one? And I was like,
it could happen. Just she's got to
go to the right area.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
yeah, go to the right area. Yeah.
The thing is too, is like Leafa is, I guess, in a sense, the most
sad part is if you saw the titles of the next arcs, you guys would.
I'd probably be more excited because I like hearing the titles of like arcs.
Yeah,
to kind of get me hyped up for the next one. You know, like that's.
Do you wanna?
Sure.
There's a lot. I don't know what you guys are gonna
I guess you can just give us the one that comes up next. That way.
Oh, Matt doesn't really know that.
I don't know
either.
the one that comes up next.
Right,
I'll give
right,
you
there's-
one of them. It was called Freedom in the Feywild.
Ooh.
Okay.
Feywild is dangerous. I've learned that.
Freedom in the Feywild. I'm trying to think of the other. There was something in the Heart of Fire. I don't remember what that one is.
Okay. I think
Fear in the Heart of Fire, something like that. I don't remember.
I like your titles. They're very
they're very creative.
smooth and they work well. And
Yeah, but I think just to kind of end
mm-hmm.
the discussion for next session, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the minds of at least Leoffa and Oberyn, this was traumatic as hell. Because, I mean, at least for Leoffa, obviously, she went through a lot of trauma.
Well, that's why it's
yeah.
called madness in the mind.
For
like,
for Oberyn, it was a thing of he had finally, well, not finally realized, but he's getting grips in reality where it's like, I have seen, and he's talked about it to the captain too. He's like, I've seen like ends of worlds, you know, like in visions. I've seen wars. I've been on wastelands of dead bodies. Like I've seen some traumatic stuff, but seeing myself die over and over again has this thing in the back of his mind is like, I don't know if I can die. There is no death unless someone actually comes to my sword space and kills me. I have to live while these people might have peaceful in air quotes. They get to die and, you know, go to the afterlife and live on and whatever. I can't do that. None of us can do that. You know, if we had family or people that we cared about in the afterlife that are waiting for us or whatever, we can't meet them. We're stuck here.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, that's what Oberyn's thinking about. He's like, I can't die. These people died. They get that air quote pleasure of just
or closure.
Or closure. You know, they get that solace of like, I'm free from this life and that's it.
Everything has a price.
Exactly. We can't do that. And Oberyn's now like coming to grips with like, I don't think I'm ever going to see the people I care about ever again because I cannot die. And that hurts him the most. Because he has people on the other side that he wants to see. He can't do that. I know Zion with him, it's like, well, I didn't like my family anyway.
Well, no, he
But
still
there
has
are
people
people
that cared.
There are people that
he has
cared.
people that he cares about.
You know, Leoffa has
Everybody
people,
has people they care about.
but we can't see them because we are undying, immortal beings. Unless they literally come to our sword space and murder us there, we can never die.
And it doesn't have to be yours.
And it doesn't have,
It's just in a sword space.
right. They can, if you're in a sword space.
So if you're in Arthur's and somebody murks
Kills
you, you're dead.
Right. And that's the scary thing. There are
You're
people,
also more powerful while you're in there.
yeah, and
'Cause
that's
that's your
sword space.
domain, right? Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your dimension.
Yep. Anyone's sword space or specifically ours? Or
You're more powerful in sword spaces.
gotcha.
That's just like
Yeah,
you guys haven't done any combat or anything in there yet.
But you're
so you
more
haven't
powerful.
experienced it.
yeah,
But
but yeah,
You can get more in there.
I think
right, because it's an area of your
Also.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no,
Finish your statement.
it's the area of your not conquest because that's specifically your aspect, but it's the area of your gains, your power. It's
Yeah.
where you form whatever space you want for yourself.
yeah, and as
Right, Cerulean has a moon in hers, along with some kind of city
Yeah.
or like multiple houses or something. You guys didn't get a clear picture.
but yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of what Oberyn is thinking about. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Leoffa could have died too, but even he's like, if she died, she'd at least be free from this,
yeah.
from what we have. He's like, did she make the right decision?
Did all of you guys
Did
make the
all
right
of us?
decision?
Yeah, he's still questioning. I mean, it's like the power is great, but it comes at such a hefty cost.
and here's-
Doesn't everything though?
But
Here's the thing. Here's the tricky part for you with your character is your powers already came from that. From that
it's
entity.
it's like I've been almost intertwined with my patron, who is just an extension of this. So I have to do it.
And that's the crazy. I was thinking about that today because I knew we were going to do the podcast tonight. I was thinking about that
Yeah.
today, and I was like, the odds that Oberyn took the power is mind-boggling. Because you think about it, you being a devout warlock to your patron
Yeah.
says, no, I don't want that. My patron is who I follow and who I want to be with, like who I want to serve, and like
Yeah.
not similar to like a paladin or a cleric, but you know, warlock. It's essentially like a scarier version of that in my
Right.
mind.
Right.
Like,
And the fact that I took.
well, let's say you
Yeah.
don't take it, and you're like, I'm a devout follower of my patron. I don't want this.
Yeah.
Let's say we run this campaign for years. Years down the road, we end up back in the deep, and you take that,
Yeah.
and you learn, or somehow, maybe you don't even end up there. You learn that the deep is your patron is an extension of the deep.
Yeah.
Like the odds that you took that were very, very slim.
Yep.
But the payoff is
even-
huge because you learn that it's just an extension of you.
Yeah. Like and the thing was too is
And
that when we
It's
met,
crazy.
when
It's
we-
absolutely bonkers
and
because
the-
you're not going to learn that until
you get there.
way down the road.
And that's
like,
that was the thing too that the one that as many said. It's like you weren't supposed to be here.
what are
this
you doing
early.
here?
And he and over time too, like my patron and even the one that is many has mentioned me in different scenarios where it's like you've like failed in these moments, or you'd be like,
You always get stuck in that chair.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
or it'd be like times where it's like, if I tell you what will happen, then it will definitely happen. So it's like I'm linked to not just my patron, but I also have like a deeper connection with the one that is many because of the fact that I had this. My patron is an extension of that, so I've kind of intertwined with them.
Right. You already have a taste of it, but you don't know that.
Right.
Right.
Like the odds that you take that power, like looking at it from like a statistical standpoint, the odds that you take that power, so slim.
And the thing,
slim.
and the thing is too, and this is more like relating to backstory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been the one that is many's plan the whole time to recruit me.
Oh,
Because-
I guarantee that's what that is.
because
That's a long game plan.
Because I reread my backstory
Yeah, you did.
and I realized a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. It was like a sense of I've been played, but at the same time, it's like I had to be played, you know? And it's like one of those, because obviously the next time I talk, to my patron, Oberyn is going to probably be pissed. Because obviously...
And then think about the way Cerulean talks to your patron.
Cerulean is giving me blunt, upfront information. She's giving me honest answers while my patron is telling me I'm not ready. That angers me. Because it's like, we're essentially
and who's in
bonded.
the right?
Right. It's like, who is it Cerulean or do I...
Which is the proper approach.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where
It's so great. That one decision, Kyle, changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
Yeah, my character is
for you. It changes literally everything because you don't know that it's next. You didn't know until you said it. Like, yes, I'm taking you. None of us knew. We just thought you were like, oh, Kyle's disowning his patron. Like, that's weird. That sucks.
Because it turns out to be
No, it's literally the higher being of him. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it turns out to be, and he even mentions me.
Mind-blowing.
He even mentions me because he's like, yeah, like you've been here, and you would have been here a lot later, but you are here, and
Not for taking the deep. In the ship, yes.
in the ship. Yes, he's like, yeah,
But
there
yeah,
are
that's an important thing.
right.
You have not been... He didn't say when you guys were taking the powers that you've been here before.
Oh yeah, when he's been in the ship, he's like, you've been.
In the ship, yeah.
That's the
Which means
Oberyn
that-
that's there does not have the deep.
Yeah,
Like
a lot of
I would imagine. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But like the odds that you take this,
is slim. You're
so
not
slim.
There's moments when there's other Oberyns who probably encountered the deep and said no.
I'm guessing there's a lot.
There's a lot. I'm
There's-
probably one of very slim percentage of Oberyns who've definitely
I'm just like-
took it.
Remember what the deep is, though. What is the deep? What is the word I use for the deep? Starts with a P.
Paracausal,
Paracausal. What does that mean?
above fate.
Above fate.
Yeah.
How many times can you choose something above fate?
Not very often,
Like never.
unless you're paracausal.
Unless you yourself are paracausal. And they do give us powers that are paracausal. I mean, the fact that we can't die is paracausal enough.
Right.
There are moments...
Raven Queen's like, what the heck?
Right.
I can't cut this.
Right. It's like
one.
on Hercules when they're trying
That's
to cut
imagine.
the thing.
That's
Yeah.
exactly how I imagine. It's like, what the?
I can't cut it.
This isn't working.
And the thing is, too, is that there's so much with Oberyn that even he doesn't know about. And the fact that he's seen his own dead bodies makes him think, if I never made that
so
choice, I'd end up
beautiful.
like them. But then he
you
also
gotta think about something I can't talk about.
I know. There's and the visions that I see too.
These are dangerous for me because I really just want to spill my soul. And if we don't end up finishing the campaign, I'm gonna.
Good.
I'm gonna say everything.
I still think it would be something where we meet
Like, what
once every 2 or 3 months and just like go 2 days at it.
What if
just
I'm the
knock it-
fucking darkness? Like there's it could be like me. Like that is me. I don't know.
Edwin's the darkness.
Because like with the
All right.
ties to so
Tinfoil
much.
hat time.
Yeah, right. That's what we're getting into
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here for it.
There's so much with Oberyn's character.
I was thinking about that today. I'm like,
What are the
freaking odds of that
Right.
happening are just because you've talked about this before. Like you had a mindset of like who was going to take it, who wasn't,
Yeah.
and a lot of people took it that you didn't expect to, and it's like,
Oberyn was one of the people who
Oberyn
wasn't
was-
supposed to take it.
yeah,
Not supposed
supposed
to,
to, but-
I had aspects for everybody. Remember.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
didn't know. I had ideas of who would and who would not.
And one of the people who
You and
probably
Leafra
did
were
not.
the ones that were like,
Yeah, I did not expect. But I was more than open to,
Because-
as
Right.
you saw.
because
and
I,
it just it's like
because I was because
that's like Leafra taking it and being like, your Spider Queen deity,
Is a part
I
of us.
made her. Like,
Yeah.
she answers to me.
And the thing was too,
It's
because
like-
you think about the mindset that Oberyn was going into, at least when he met the Deep here. It could have been way different.
The one who's many.
the one who's many, right?
When he
I
learned
keep
of the
saying-
Deep.
Yeah, and all he wanted was
more power,
more power, you know,
which makes sense.
which makes sense. He's just like my patron, as
That
he's doing
character
kind of
choice
now.
makes sense.
Yeah, he's like I just need more power, like more. I just need the ability to have enough power to save people. I need power to, do what I have to do and things like that. And they gave it to me. And then it turns out that my patron also works under them,
Oh,
and it's one of those
so
things where
beautiful.
and it's one of those things where it's like for the first time, Oberyn, at least in all the other Oberyns that I've met, you made the right choice. Because there are Oberyns who didn't make the right choice and they ended up dead. Or they ended up causing massive catastrophe. Or there are Oberyns who did make this choice and made wrong choices later and caused major catastrophe.
So
But
far,
at
we've
least,
made the right
at
ones.
least you, this Oberyn, is on the path of making the right choice.
Well, quote unquote,
Quote
right
unquote,
choice.
right.
Right
choice.
is always perception based.
Yeah, because to the deep,
Always.
Because to the deep, it's like you've died so much.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think mercy is important to the Deep?
No. I mean, if mercy
It
was
depends on your aspect. And
If mercy-
to answer that question,
Okay.
because in Cerulean's eyes, no. Mercy's not a thing because you're supposed to embody what your aspect
you are
is.
annihilation,
Yeah.
you have to kill
So-
whether or not you care
So
about a person or
Sylvana,
not.
I think
Destroy. It's a better
destroy. Yeah.
to Sylvana or
But-
Brazil, I think that's important. Mercy's very important when you're
If you were
the
the
aspect of kingship.
you want people to
To
rule.
be a good leader and to represent that, obviously that's super important because being a good leader, being a good king is making the right decision at the right moment. Conquest, you show mercy to pay gains later. I can't kill you yet because I need you later.
right.
And then you're done.
And
For Cerulean, it's like,
no,
see ya. And
Right.
mercy isn't a thing. So I think
it depends on where
as
you
a
are.
deep as a whole, I think it is. But if you break it down per aspect, I think it's a level of mercy that it's like mercy's important to the majority of us and
There are
in
some who-
different ways.
Yeah, like for me,
I don't know if that answers your question.
It does.
mine is an aspect of cunning and I guess trickery, but more cunning than it is, right? And it's about clever ways to get out of situations. It's not like clever ways to kill people. It can be if I put my mind to it, but it doesn't have to be. It's just thinking ahead, making sure,
It is being cunning.
it's being cunning, not being merciless or, being I must destroy everything in my path. It's just be cunning.
But cunning might need
But cunning might have to
take
require
care of
me
things
to
in its path.
right.
Well, in the deep embodies order
Yeah.
and
It's not like they're chaotic.
Rules.
It's not like they're chaos incarnate.
Right.
They're not like
Right. Why does Cerulean do everything she does?
she's doing
for
it.
a reason.
It is for a reason. Some people have a hard time seeing that.
It's almost ironic that the people who can't die are the ones having to spread the quote unquote gospel of death. We have to
Well,
It's-
see, I disagree with that because what you have to understand is the deep is law based. It's
People have
this happens, this happens, this happens. So to answer your question, Matt, about mercy, you have to look at it in a courtroom setting. Think the deep as the judge. Judges show mercy all the time. So to answer your question, yes, I think it is important. I think mercy is important when it comes to the deep because the deep is the judge. We are the
I feel like some of us are the jury and some of us are the executioner.
No.
No.
You're the prosecutors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're the prosecutors and the defender.
And the defendant. Or defendants? Defenders?
We represent the defendants.
Because plaintiffs are the people you go after with the defendant. Yeah.
Right.
We are.
Yeah, defendant is the proper term.
Yeah, so we're the prosecutors and the defendants. Some of us are definite like prosecutors, and some of us are more on the
we're
defendant
out
side.
there
administering,
showing like what is how the law should be
interpreted.
Exactly.
And I feel like annihilation
Interpretation
doesn't have to be destroying people.
And
I think with Cerulean, it's like I have to kind of.
When you guys truly understand Cerulean, I hope you guys cry.
Yeah, because
I genuinely do.
Because I think it's almost twisted. Like she just takes annihilation as destroy and like
you have no idea how she takes annihilation.
Right. But from what I've seen,
you have seen what she has done.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's almost
and
like
from that, make of it what you will.
Yeah, and I guess from that,
I think it's beautiful what you've created.
From what Matt says, for me, at least with Oberyn, he just sees you've killed not millions, but probably millions. You've killed a lot of people, and like he feels like death, like that is not. I mean, it is what annihilation is. It's destruction, but it doesn't have to be outright murder. Of course, she has
I
ulterior.
hope you guys get to the twist.
She has
not twist, but the point I want to hit.
Yeah, she has ulterior
before
motives.
we have to quit or anything like that. I really hope you.
I hope we don't ever bury this campaign. To be honest, I feel like there's so much to it.
It's just time.
I know, I know that, but like,
it would suck to end.
It's my fault too that I cancel sometimes. That's very bad. You guys should scold me more for that, because that's bad.
It's just one of those things where it's like if it would suck.
If you guys want to make a makeup session, let me know for like some that we've canceled. I'm fine with that.
I'm
two
always
sessions in a week. That's nuts. I love that.
I'm always down
like,
for more.
I don't know. I've never had a bad session. I've never had. I every time I look so forward to DnD.
Me too.
That is what keeps me going.
Like
I'm always whenever
I don't get mad at you when it like doesn't work out that we have a session. It just is like, man, I was really looking forward to
it's just like, damn, and I can understand where you're coming from too, because sometimes it's just like I got stuff I have to do too, and I'm like, I get that.
And when I'm in a bad mood, like it just totals any like fun I could possibly have for running, because running takes a lot out of you.
It takes a lot of energy.
Like you can ask Liz about it, especially when you have characters talking to each other and the party, and both of them having, especially with Shendra and the captain, they have very different points of view. And I try my best not to talk over you guys. You guys are the stars of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to try to get their points across without laughing, because I know Shendra's voice was funny, haha. But she was scared that whole time, and I didn't play that up as much as I should have.
I could get it, because like she'd
I think
be the
did
one.
Well, at the end of.
She'd be the one who's like, we have to rest. We have to rest. Like,
right.
She was getting tired. She was getting restless. It's like, I don't want to be here anymore. I could get that. And the captain was so dead set on whatever he wanted that he did not care, and that's what caused.
Well, and he was scared.
Yeah, and that what caused.
He was like, I would rather be tired and weary than not know what's happening.
And that made him more desperate.
Right.
And that was the thing, desperate.
And then desperation starts to kick in further and further until you're at the precipice of whatever this is.
Yeah, and he didn't even know what it was he was going to. He's just like, I want to figure it out.
And I called him on it.
Yeah.
We called it a dick measuring contest in session, but that
was what
I
we
was
were doing.
challenging him on it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're sounding crazy, dude. Like, you're not using your head. Like, think about this.
Something
from
else
Zion's
is,
point, like
him.
logically, like, you're not seeing the whole from Zion's picture. Like, you're not seeing the whole picture here.
Yeah,
and it was, and I don't mean to say it in this way, but it was fun, like going at it, like.
No, No, it's
I was
Yeah.
like, challenge me.
yeah.
Do it. Like,
It was fun
And he
to see.
tried to too before
yeah.
a peacemaker stepped in and was like, "Hey guys, cut it out."
it was fun. It was good.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed the session because it's more
So
it's
good.
more for Oberyn to think about because now he has to come to grips with like he knew he was immortal because he didn't die, right? Because I mean he's died twice and he's come back, and it's like yeah, that's great, but now it's like now that I've seen other Oberyns die, and he's seen multiverses and he's seen different versions of himself, he knows I am one of few that made this decision. Other Oberyns are probably happy right now. Then I mean, if they might be alive, they might be dead. Who knows? The fact is, they didn't make the same choice I did, and now I'm stuck. Did I make the right decision or not? I mean, power is great, but I had
But what's the cost?
yeah, but I had a goal, and that goal could be taken from me because I can't die. I could go all the way to what I need to do, get to the point where I can like finally fulfill it, and I can't because I just can't because of my aspect. And if I choose to take it away from me, then I can die. Maybe.
Who knows?
Who no one's ever decided to like I'm just gonna try it. And it's gonna be interesting to see what would happen. Because I mean I tried talking to the Raven Queen and the patron was like the one that has made was like, no, you're not.
Don't do that.
You cannot do that. And she is kind of
See,
important.
If I wanted to do that, I would. This is Zion's mentality and understanding of the deep. He would look at it as like a partnership.
yeah, it's like
You're working with you and God figure, same level.
It's like we need these people.
Same figure.
For whatever
it's like
threat-
a partnership.
yeah,
I'm
like-
like, I need to take this area over, and you don't like this area going on. Let's talk.
Yeah,
let's,
it's one of those-
And boom,
Let's do
it's
some
go-
backroom horse trading.
It's one of those
Exactly.
things. It's one of those things where
That's
it's
how
like,
Zion would approach it. And I know Oberyn
yeah.
and Zion are not. We're similar, but
No,
not the same.
That's kind of what he wanted too. He wasn't defecting. He wasn't like. It wasn't a thing of like I don't like what has been given to me. I want to get something else. It's that this Raven Queen is as important to him as anything else.
And what was the response?
She gave me more or less the same answer that the patron gave me. And then the patron figured that out and said, you're not doing that ever again. And the thing is that I wasn't trying to defect
Mm-hmm.
because the Raven Queen is important.
Yeah.
I'm not changing my ways to become a Raven Queen paladin. You know, it's
Right.
It's a thing where it's like,
And who out of like all those people, not to cut you off, but who doesn't give a flying about what's right or wrong when they talk to you?
Cerulean.
Cerulean.
Such a straight shooter.
She's just like, because
Love it.
she asked me what I wanted.
The only time she beat around the bush was to get you guys there.
Yeah.
And the thing was too is like when I talked to Cerulean, she talked about time magic and she talked about all those things, and she mentioned like it worked out for me once, but it never worked out.
Yeah, but don't play with it. Dangerous stuff.
Right. She's dealt with it before. She's, once, and it worked out. But it's not like if I messed up, I wouldn't be here right now, kind of thing. It's like I got lucky.
Yeah, and she's made a comment about I like how things are going now or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she mentioned because she's obviously probably seen us before in a different like time, and she jumped out of that one maybe, but who knows? The Cerulean that I saw on the compass could be the same Cerulean right now, or the same one from the one shot.
Maybe.
She could be one because as we said,
Cerulean from the one shot's dead.
true. But it's like one of those things where it's like she is paracausal, and we don't know how long she's been alive. We just know her as a kid, but she wasn't a kid forever.
Because the one in the one shot had green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did make the theory like maybe she died or faked her death and jumped into another like time, which I mean it's still possible, but like it's one of those
I'll
things.
tell you now, no.
Yeah,
Not from the
it's
one shot.
She's
cool, though.
Gonski.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where and that even goes into more stuff. It's like that Cerulean didn't make the same choice that this one did. Right now, we're on the path that is completely divergent from all other paths before us.
But there is one path we do have to follow. And that's the end of the podcast. 'cause
Yeah.
We have been going for a while.
And
And I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
There's so many things we can talk about.
Respectfully, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it was the end of an arc, and so it's like one of those things where we just have to come
Get
out.
it out.
So
Yeah.
much
It's the
going
end of an
on.
arc, all right? Like I know,
Yeah.
like the people. This is going to be a long episode. but we had to do it because it's such a pivotal moment in the campaign that we had to talk about it. This is the end of a new arc that we just finished. So, of course, we got to let all of our feelings, theories, thoughts out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
We didn't even get into like what we got from our level up, too.
No, nah.
Oh, yeah.
We'll touch that next time. You guys will put them into action next time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can't wait to use
I
my
cannot.
smite.
I can't wait to use the magic.
Yes.
Also, I just remembered, and I'm stupid for not remembering this, but Hexblade's Curse, I have it, and it's a bonus action, and it doesn't cost a spell slot, doesn't cost anything. It's just I do it.
But you can only do it so many times a day, right?
Right. But
Yeah.
the thing was is that I never used it, and
Yeah.
I could have been using it, and now I have a Cursed Spectre, which allows me to, when I curse someone, I kill them.
And you get a free servant ghost thing.
A free servant ghost.
Yeah.
So
It's great.
It's kind of interesting of like, what if I killed one of us? Like cursed one of the other aspects, because I mean, obviously they're like, death is supposed to be our like teacher. So killing one of us is supposed to grant us like powers, or at least make us stronger. So what if I cursed one of the aspects, killed him, but then kept his soul here? You know, like
How would that even?
That's what I'm saying.
That's a theory for a different.
like that's what I'm
episode.
saying. Like
Test it. I have an answer right now that I didn't even have to think about because I understand what your powers are so deeply.
because like your soul is still here with me because I killed you, but at the same time, does your soul also go to the soul?
That's for we gotta
We'll
go to a
just
different
talk
episode.
about it
next
another
time.
time.
Next time.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you stuck around to the end, hey, you're awesome. We'll see you guys in the next one, I suppose. Goodbye.